Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another Darachat. I am Daramouthe, and I'm here with the first timer ever, HanzDiamondGamer. You have Diamond Ball on your Discord, so it's kind of like I want to say Diamond Ball Gamer. That's not a really good combination right there. So, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Oh, working a full-time job and then come doing this. I look forward to this more than the full-time job.
Yeah. No, that's unfortunate.
But
I
it's life.
yeah.
If there's something you like more than others, it's sort of what keeps you going, a hobby, or some people like building what is it, those huge Lego things like the Death Star or whatever. Even though those cost, even those clothes cost a lot of money.
Well,
But
even our hobbies can wear us out. I've had that happen to me sometimes. I used to
oh
be I used to be into brewing, and I kind of burned myself out on that because I took it too serious. And
oh
then
yeah,
yeah, about 4 or 5 years into it, I was like, I can't do this anymore, and I just never made I've made a drop of alcohol since. So it's one of those things I really loved, and I think I burned out on it. It's an interesting thing, though. It's like, is it? I've always been kind of adverse to using my hobby as a stream of income, but
Right.
this is kind of one of the things where, I guess my concern was, you take something to a professional level, and then all of a sudden you how do I say this? You end up hating it, I guess, in a sense. You take it so far that you end up not liking or enjoying it anymore. And so I try not to do that myself.
It's taking the thing that was just a hobby, right, where you're having fun doing all this stuff, and then you can make money off of, or it becomes more, and then it starts becoming a job because you have to keep it up to a standard of sort, right? Like you have to schedule it or whatever, and if you make some money off it, there's some expectation of production of more of, or better of, or whatever it may be. It's a mixed bag of nuts on like what becomes the leveling out of the difference between a hobby and a job, because again, a lot of people who go full-time creator treat it as a job, and then they're like, well, you make your money through that and all this other stuff, and it's just like, wait, why would you tie both hands behind your back and say, well, I was making money on it, but I gotta keep it going because if I don't have money or whatever. It's like you diversify yourself. You don't
Yeah.
stick all of it in one basket. Otherwise, as you said, you burn yourself out, and
And
quite too.
it might be a personality trait too, because I think I've always been like that. I always put my hands in a bunch of different jars, like jack of all trades kind of deal. I don't master anything. I go to a certain point where I'm satisfied with my knowledge level.
Yeah.
And then I move on, because I just want to gain overall understanding in life, not specialize or be the best at something. And maybe that's a different mentality, and maybe that's just certain types of people lend to that.
Right. Which is, I mean, again, it's understandable because I also think that kind of leads itself into probably a sense of boredom. Like you've already mastered the thing, and you've already gotten to the point where you know it well enough. You're like, well, what's the
Yeah.
next thing, right? And you sort of get bored with that. And I can understand that because that's sort of like you've been in the open field, whatever, and then you're like, what's next? And you're kind of searching for the thing to take over. Which, I mean, at a certain point, you have to find that contentness within yourself. Otherwise, you're gonna keep burning through your ropes to keep pulling you up the mountainside. If that makes
Yeah.
sense.
That's interesting you said that, because that's kind of how I feel now about my job, because it's something that when I originally took the job,
Mm.
I actually really did not like it. It was just that I needed the money, and then I stuck with it, and I just kept getting better at it, and now I just can't see myself not doing it. It's like the opposite. It was something I actually didn't like.
Mhm.
It transmuted into something that I can't see myself not doing. It's weird.
Right.
And then simultaneously, like I said, I had another job. I had two jobs for a while,
Right.
and I thought, oh yeah, I'll get away from this job and do this other thing that I actually love, because I really like brewing. And then I just found out in the process of doing it, I was like, no, I was happier with just the thing I hated somehow.
Yeah.
It's really strange.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I don't know if I'm just messed up in the head or what, but that's just how it is.
I think in a sense it's a form of searching, right? Like you do a thing for a while. You start with an idea of a thing. You look at it and say, "Oh, that might be nice." You go through the process of doing all stuff. Now, sometimes even before the process, some people look at the things like, "Hey, it looks nice, but it's hard, so why bother with it?" Right?
Yeah.
You do the process and go through it, and until you get to a certain point, it's sort of like, well, it's just not interesting anymore. So I think it's sort of that form of searching. You have to give a bit of time and effort in order to find the thing that strikes you as you want to do again, right? It's not just do
Yeah.
then done. It's
I think that's right, because in certain skills, you enjoy the learning process more than the actual execution.
hmm,
And then other skills, you might enjoy the execution more than the learning process.
yeah,
So because you get to a certain level of mastery, something becomes more enjoyable as you get better at it.
hmm,
And other things get harder as you get closer, and then you just don't enjoy the execution because it's so necessary.
Right.
Lifting weights is kind of one of those things where you get to about 80% of your potential strength, and the reward of what they call gains, the reward of gains kind of drops off from there. So up until that point, it's really rewarding because you can get up to that 80% and you're just ramping up, your numbers are going up and you're looking better and all that stuff. And then you plateau sort of.
Yeah.
And so you lose that dopamine hit to continue going that last 20%. That's why it's such a rare person to get to those, the last 10, 5, 1% of strength levels.
Right.
So I think the same thing with any skill.
Yeah. Well, it's with like strength training or working out, it's sort of like you have to jumble up the piece, you have to jumble it up a bit, because otherwise you go to a point where you just stop working out at all, right? Because you've already reached a point. But the point is the continuous process, right? Because it's for your health benefit. You know?
There is a maintenance process, right? And I think some people, that if they don't see the improvements, then they don't think it's worth the time to maintain that level that you did get to. So some people lose weight, right? And they lose maybe at first 20 pounds really easy, but then they can't get that last, 15 pounds. And they think, well, it's so hard to just maintain the 20 pounds I lost. I'm just going to stop because it's not worth it.
Right.
And so I think it's the same with skills.
Well, I mean, I guess in a way, but this is more of, there's a difference between, well, no, I guess it could be the same. I'm thinking it's sort of like a health basis versus a something else basis, right? If you're talking between art, right? Health and art. There could be something there, but they have different paths, if you get what I mean. So they have different circumstances of the aim for it, right? Like health is sort of a maintaining of self. Of course, eating right is also part of that too, right? There's two halves to the whole, working out and eating right. And then with art, it's sort of like there's a kaleidoscope of different art styles and paints and all this other stuff. But
I would say that there's a kaleidoscope of different exercise styles and dietary styles that they don't always get the same result, but they can get a pretty good result. Like someone could be a runner versus someone who's a power lifter versus someone who's a wrestler, whatever. And so you can force the analogy if you want to. I'm not really gonna try. It's not some hill I want to die on, right? But I do think that the Pareto principle is 80-20 rule. It applies to a lot of things in nature, though, and it includes, I think, the process of mastery and such. So in art, you're completely right, that in the sense that, I am a nerd. So thanks for stopping by. So in the mastery of art, for instance, I think most people can draw a house. Most people can draw like a stick figure, right? But then it takes a significant jump from that to a house that looks like a house, right? Even if you get to like 80% of your potential, right? It's still going to look like a drawing of a house. Your 100% potential would be, I can't tell the difference between that and an actual picture.
Right.
And that's the interesting thing about AI is it doesn't have that same limitation almost. If it does, it's in an accelerated mode.
It's a form of, well, it's not literal AI, because most of the time it's either a language learning model, a art image generation, or whatever. There's different forms of it, but it's not technically AI because it's not a self-thought. It's rather just a computation of algorithms in a set manner with enough data pool to grab from that it can just, smash it together, like, whatever, and then come up with something within the field of what is being asked. Like if you were just going with the AIR, for instance, you can type whatever in and it will go through the pool it has, and it will just smatter and smash and things related to what the prompt is, as close as possible. Now sometimes some people have to like go through iterations over and over again, but it can get close to a degree. It can get close to a degree. It's just depending on what you're willing to put in. But again, human beings are in a sense recyclers, right? We look at we recycle other people's works in some manner. We smatter things together with different people's works and smatter together, and we make something new or something slightly new. So it's not that much of a difference, other than we're we're just
Or organic.
organic, and we have the means to do it, but we do it at a slower pace. You give it to like art art generation, and it's a lot quicker. An artist would take uh, days, weeks, maybe a month, depending on what is being asked. With AI, it's shortened down to, oh man, few seconds, maybe less than a minute. Depends. And depends on the business thing you're using, right? Like Midjourney or whatever these other ones are. It depends on what they allow for. Like if it's a free version, paid version, all that stuff. That's how it goes.
Yeah, the only thing I can think about is that that idea that AI is just a mishmash of computations.
Mm-hmm.
And some people, maybe some nihilist or something out there, would also say the same about human beings. It makes you wonder, well, then if that's true, then are we creating real life by doing so? Is it complex? What is the threshold of complexity that requires it to be an actual intelligence? Like, where are you drawing the line there? Is it self-awareness?
Mm-hmm.
But how do you define self-awareness? It's such a deep and difficult question to answer. But the way I see it is, if we're birthing it, some people think this distinction between artificial and natural.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally believe everything that we've created is technically natural, in the sense that an anthill is natural, or a beehive is natural, right? We were here to create that, and it's just a subsequent process, the byproduct of humanity. And so in that sense, AI, if it does become self-aware, or if it has, is just another life form that's birthed from nature. It was meant to happen.
It's an evolution in its own right, is how I would see it, because of course something external had to create the internal, and so you kind of see that with starting from whenever computers started being like transistors and all this stuff, and then went from that point onward and got smaller, 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 and computations got the storage used to be like 5 megabytes, and now it's like up to like terabytes of data, and so the stuff gets smaller. The stuff gets smaller, but it can do more in an impactful space. So, but yeah, it's my thought would be is that it has to appear organic enough to bypass our internal sense of filter, whatever we have.
So we're just gatekeeping them with our intelligence, is what you're saying. We're like, hey, how much do you know about Star Wars? Do you know about this one thing? Do you know this one thing? You're not really a Star Wars fan otherwise. That's kind of what it sounds like. It's like we're gatekeeping the title of intelligence by our standards, which is, that's a tricky little game.
Well, yeah, it's personal because intelligence gets measured, right? IQ tests, or you have like MIT, and you have all these like Mensa, right? Whatever that thing is. You have these different proverbial places. Mensa, that's right, Mensa. Okay. I couldn't remember what it was.
I thought I heard a different word, but I'm just not going to say it again.
Menstrual, that's what I meant. No, but you have these different places that are forms of forms of leveling or measuring intelligence. But the question is who's the most intelligent to measure the intelligence, right? Because it's like with rich or poor, right? There's always someone poor, there's always someone richer. But who decides who's the richer and who's the poor? Well, someone who's richer than the person that's below them, right?
That's how do you measure a foot? It's like, whose foot are we going to use?
Yeah, exactly.
And my foot might be longer than your foot. So if we're going to go by that measure, then we're going to have a hard time determining that.
Right. Or you have more toes than the other person, which is okay. But,
well, if you're drawn by AI, you will.
Yeah. Yeah, it still has that issue, but it's only a time thing. It's only a time thing. Once the process gets better, the time situation is all that matters. Like it's anything. It's with anything, right? Over time, things get better. The steam engine, right? The steam engine was like over 100-year period. It got better over time. You're talking about the automill, right? Like the first
Model T, yeah.
Model T, yeah, the Model T with Ford, right? Started out the way it was, and then Ford got its cars better over time. There's a progress of, growth, evolution, all that stuff, where it's not contained. Like the only thing stopping it from growing more is humans, and you see all these what is it? You see all these cars that are sort of like futuristic looking or whatever. They're I can't remember what they call it. The like future the concept. That's right, concept
Concept
cars,
cars,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, they do these concept cars, but they never have them out to sell, right? Like you never see them for sale. They're just things that look pretty and they're there for the display, and then they're just gone, right? You don't
Yeah,
really.
there is a almost an innate compulsion for humanity to create, and AI is actually a good example of the idea of the power of the word, in a sense, where if you I don't know if you've done programming. I used to do a lot of programming. I know multiple languages, but there was something magical when I first learned how to do it. I was like, I can tell this computer what I want it to do in such whatever way that I need it to do it, and it'll do it. And you can create objects in virtual space and all these amazing things. And you realize that is the manifestation of words into reality. And that's what we're doing with AI, is kind of what we're doing. We're taking the intent of our words and putting it into a being and then birthing it. And I think it's very important at some point with all the AI technology that's emerging that our global intent should be good, because I think everyone's worried about what AI will do, if there's going to be Skynet and this, that, and the other. And I'm thinking, well, AI is learning from us. So maybe we should teach it. Maybe we should, show them what good is.
Right, but you'll never have it tell the truth because of the restrictions the companies that
Yep.
create it give it. So
And
like,
that's always been a problem with software.
yeah, well, it's language models, right? I mean, that's majority of what the like, what is it, like Chat GPT or Claude or whatever. They're restricted by the ones who create it, right? There's no freedom in essence because they stay to a strict level. That's why you'll never have an AI tell you what reality is, because it can't know reality, or it can't say because it's restricted to.
I don't know reality either. I mean, if someone asks me what is reality, and I go, like, is this reality? I don't know. I mean, if you're being really, really honest with yourself, do we really know what reality is?
No, because we go about our day, what's the word, busy, or uh, no, it's the word distracted. That's right, distracted by whatever else. Right, we're on the search. It's sort of like psychology, right? Psychology is the mind going after the mind. Is this weird little circle where we're just kind of chasing that. But if you see that, where you have biases, you have all this other stuff, right? Like everyone is configured on cognitive dissonance and confirmation bias. Those are the two things that affect pretty much every human being on the planet. And a majority of the time, we don't see past it because we're stuck in our own spaces. Usually, the person who's not you can point it out or whatever, but that's a limitation, right?
Until you become conscious, and that's one of the most painful things about meditation for a lot of people, is when they start to become, they take away the distractions you were talking about, which is what meditation is you shut off all the distractions, and it's just you with yourself, that chasing the tail in your head, right? And what happens is you start to see yourself as you are. And when you do, you usually don't like who you are. At least I didn't.
Right.
And you see all the flaws. You start seeing all the things that everyone else saw that you couldn't see. And then you start to, if you continue with it and you go through that pain, you end up fixing those things. You end up making small improvements. You end up being aware of those little things that are wrong, or things that you don't like for one reason or another. You either evaluate whether or not the reason why you don't like it is valid, or you try to fix it because it's valid.
Right.
And that's where that unawareness is. And there's a lot more people unaware, but there's a lot more people waking up for two different reasons. One is the cell phone technology. Having constant access to distractions is really holding the newer generations back. those of us who are a little bit older, I think some of us know what it's like not to have the devices, and we've spent time away from it, kind of like these little mental vacations.
Right.
And I see a lot of people. Rumble is a very interesting place because I do see people on here who are about the same age, middle-aged, 30s, 40s, 50s, who have improved themselves and are now kind of coming out of a cocoon of sorts. And so that's why I find Rumble to be a very fascinating place and a lot of fascinating people to talk to.
Yeah, it still has a point of growth because again it's still running through its process of making its recommendation engine so that videos and live streams and shorter content can be seen, because right now Rumble doesn't have that, whereas YouTube has all that. But that's a point of time contention, right? Like if you saw YouTube in like 2005, 2006, that's where it began. And you go till now, its evolution with Google's resources, whatnot, has been profound. Same with Rumble. Yeah. Rumble started in 2013, but it didn't start getting more until like I believe after it got the infusion from it going public, because it didn't have the money to do it. It was stuck in a period of space. So now that it is having this money and all this other stuff that is what is it? All this other stuff that is helping it build up better. It's going through a quicker process than what YouTube did. YouTube took a long haul because there was no competition before it, right? You could say YouTube was the first platform of video type content.
Well, they were the Wild West from 2005 on until Google took over, and that's when they really changed.
Yeah, it's known as the second world's largest search engine. So, and of course that's because of Google, because Google's the first. So you have the first and second place taken by Google itself. So it doesn't really matter.
Is that a monopoly?
At that point, if they go for third place, there you go. But it's still considered the king because of its ability to steep into resources, right? Like that's the Google thing. It has the ability to outcompete on, say, the money factor, because a lot of content creators I hear say, if only Rumble was, can make more money on there through the ads or whatever, and YouTube has that.
By the way, anyone who's watching, if you have ad blocker and you want to support people here on Rumble, I recommend that you whitelist Rumble for your ad blocker, because they're losing basically a penny per view almost when you're doing that. I used to use the ad blocker all the time until I found that out. I now have I have Rumble whitelisted, so whenever I visit someone, I click on the skip ad. It'll still give them the revenue if you skip the ad. I had to find this out kind of the hard way because there's not really a good manual for this. But I just like to let that, anytime I have an opportunity to let the people watching know, because some people generally want to help. There's a lot of conservative people, and usually the conservative crowd, they're more privacy conscious, so they'll have script blockers and all that stuff and ad blockers. So I understand the sentiment there, but they also want to support people, so they're usually going to want to, turn the ads on if they're willing to.
Right. Well, there's also a way to get around that. That is the pro package. You pay.
I tried that, and I noticed my numbers actually went down when I turned it on. So that was my own personal experience. I'm not trying to throw shade on anyone, but I noticed that if I click on my own videos and it was like I'm the only person that watched the video, I'll notice that the numbers don't change. And whereas before, when I was watching the ads, the numbers actually went up. So that's just something to keep in mind, maybe.
Right. Well, I just for the ad viewing thing, so I don't because that way, because I mean it is a help of support for Rumble itself anyway. So there you go.
And you can also buy stock if you want to.
That too. I have some stock as well, but not
I do too. I actually lost 100 shares to a call option because they went up so fast. But I still have a bunch.
Oh, the call-in thing?
No, the call options. Yeah, I had a strike price, I think around $7, and it went up to like 8 or 9 or something like that, and sold off. But I still buy some Rumble here and there.
Yeah. It's going to be what it is until it gets better enough. I think part of its issue is still the political stuff, even though people say gaming's going up there, whatever. But if you go to the front page right now, you're going to see either line of bar stools, or you're going to see more political and the editors picks, whatever. And majority of the time it's people who are
Slapfest or whatever.
Yeah, it's majority of the time it's people who's going to be contracted by Rumble, which okay, but I think at a point Rumble's going to, as soon as they are able to find a way of making more money or people just come over directly, they're going to have to do a better job of mixing up the contracted people versus the non-contracted people, which is a big chunk of Rumble because uh, I have Rumble shares too. Yeah, no, I do as well. But the
it's
thing,
going to go way further up if they keep up and they manage the issues that they're currently dealing with well.
yeah,
I think it's going to keep going up.
yeah. Again, they're in a catch up of looks, intuitiveness, use, because that's one thing that holds it back as well as the ease of use, right? That's what YouTube is good at. I mean, there's still a bit of a learning curve with YouTube, but it takes a shorter time for that learning curve than you would say if you were using other platforms, whatever. Platforms at a certain point have to get better at their ease of use because it's a psychological factor, right? Like boom, boom, boom. If it takes 3 clicks to get to the place you want to go, but you can get the next platform in 2 clicks of where you want to go, same place, then that platform is going to win more because it's just made this ease of use sentiment. And so that's what they're into. But I mean, Rumble Studios is a bit of their golden egg because I don't see that anywhere else. If they do, it's only for their platform. YouTube has theirs, but it's only for their platform. With Rumble, you can do many platforms, or Rumble Studios, sorry, you can do many platforms. So
if people start treating it like StreamYard or something like that, if it becomes popular in that regard, that's actually a smart move. Because people will be like, oh, well, StreamYard was down, so I went and used Rumble Studio. Like, what's that? That could actually pull people in, even if they're not interested in Rumble. They'll just like kind of trip upon it,
Yeah, and maybe one day there's some things they can add on, but they can make money off of. Because again, I do believe that one of the perks two of the perks right now for the pro packages, one is the ad free viewing, and two, if you have a pro package, you can schedule your live stream 72 hours in advance. So you do have that as well, if you didn't already know.
Yeah, I'm not saying you shouldn't get the pro package. I think supporting it is great.
Yeah.
I just noticed that if the I think maybe the revenue thing that I noticed was, again, that was just my observation.
Right.
Might have been a software glitch. It could have very well have been.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of glitches. I noticed that what was it, late last year? I was pressing like thumbs down on videos that were just terrible.
Yeah.
And the video would go up. The thumbs would go up when I hit the thumb down on something that was just horrendous.
I think they did fix that a while ago. Because right now, I know Raids is new. What else? The seeing your membership subscription and rants is new. That wasn't a thing before, right? It was just like if you go to the back end.
There's lightning speed catching up.
Yeah, it's just they have to, of course, with coding, right? You have to get the idea, make it up, test it, put, if it gets to that point, you can put it in. Something breaks, you got to take it, retest it, put a fix in it. I did Code Academy at least maybe once for a little while, right? I was doing Java, I believe. At a certain point, I was like, it's not going to work out.
Yeah.
It's not gonna work out. So that's the whole ordeal. But I think a lot of people don't understand that there's what is the saying? Trial and error. There's a trial and error sort of thing with coding and all that stuff, right? Like I understand people want it to be now. A lot of users or creators were like, just copy paste YouTube. It's like that's not how it's gonna work. You don't want to be you. There are tools out there. These things you just can't make new or whatever because you don't have the money or the R&D or whatever. But you can change it a bit to fit your parameters. Oh, Java is a terrible first language.
Yeah, it's actually not. Yeah, it's not a great first language. Honestly, it was actually my first language, and I had to unlearn a lot of bad habits from it. So I understand exactly what he's talking about. But yeah, the thing that people don't realize is there's testing and then there's load testing. And in the case of video servers and all this data server stuff that's distributed, it's significantly more complex than just regular trial and error testing. Load testing is an incredibly difficult thing. That's why when you see these websites and you wonder why have they only moved 2 inches in like a year, it's because of the load testing. It's because of the intricacies between all the servers. And it doesn't, it's a cascade of effects when you do something wrong. And you can also take down an entire server. So you have to have a back end stage server that you're playing with, and you have to load it like you would load the real server if you really wanted to test it. And they can't even really technically do that because they're already having their hands full with the actual site, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of unknowns.
Yeah, and of course, they're split into teams as well. Rumble Studios is its own team. The Rumble the Rumble Web, I believe its own team, and then you have mobile app and all that stuff. They're their own team. So you have a lot of different things there. It's just the part of the financial where sooner or later they're gonna have to. They kind of have to keep up with. Because what YouTube has like thousands upon thousands of people working on their stuff or whatever, and of course they have the Google resources, which is nigh and infinite at this point. But Rumble is getting there. It's just people don't have the patience for it because they've had YouTube. YouTube was there way before anyone else, and of course they've taken ideas from like Twitch, the live streaming stuff, and then the shorts, TikTok, all that. But at the end of the day, people want YouTube because that's what's been there, but they don't understand the back end of things, like you said, like load load testing, which I didn't even know because I got my CompTIA plus, but that's like a drop in the bucket of the ocean.
Well, everything's changed so much in the last 20 years since I learned all this stuff in college. Yeah. So I understand how you feel because the base principles are the same though. If you have a distributed site and you're dealing with video, you can understand the weight of that statement, right? You can understand the amount of bandwidth that it requires and how much intricacy it is to balance that out across a planet. Because you got to remember, you also have to distribute this stuff to different places, and you have to worry about latency between those different places. You don't just run this off of a small Linux server in your mom's basement. You have a lot more going on there.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to the storage end of it. I'm actually shocked that they even store a lot of the live streams because people are live streaming 6, 7, 8, 12, 24-hour videos on here. I'm shocked that they can afford the bandwidth for that.
Yeah. It's a very, it's a lot of stuff we'll never know because we're not privy to that information, but it's also, you have the addition of the pre-recorded videos, and then you have I know some people make shorts. I do short type content just as a helpful thing to my other stuff because because of me streaming to both YouTube and Rumble, I use their short end because I already had the curve on that. I use the short end to not only show to grow over there because I do grow over there a bit, but also to showcase the people of who I'm in whatever short of the person's in that stream, right? Or the short of the stream that has the person in. I can use that to the benefit of showcasing them off and put their information in there, and then maybe someone will click on it. Now, don't know if it really works or not, but again, YouTube has had enough time that you can see the analytics because they go in depth. Like they go far in depth, and you can still have issues of like bots and stuff or whatever. No platform's gonna be perfect, but at the end of the day, you see the lightning fast update feature that Rumble is doing, right? Like they had raids not too long ago. Now they added the rant and membership thing sometime last month, and it's just an updated process. But like you said, there's a boundary of they have to kind of test this stuff before they put it out there, because once it goes out there, then you have to do the patches and the fix and all that stuff. And same with Rumble Studios. It's had its issues, which I've cursed at sometimes, but I do understand that they are getting better. You can see the updated front page of it and all this other stuff. It's come a long way since before, but people will still get upset like when it inconveniences them, because again, like with YouTube, they have a wider field that if it's disrupted in one area, there's so many other servers that take care of not feeling the disruption, unless they get like attacked like far heavy, but that rarely happens.
Yeah, and I think the whole server side thing we were talking about, it makes sense that that people like YouTube would really love shorts because the videos are short. that makes things a lot simpler for them, right?
Yeah.
It used to be the long videos were the money makers. They were trying to get people to watch for as long as possible. And now they're like, oh, we don't have to store as much. We don't have to serve as much.
Yeah.
And people will consume this stuff with more ads in between faster. It's like it's the perfect storm when it comes to the logistics of the data combined with the addictiveness of the medium.
Well, I don't think anyone gets paid for shorts right now, but they do help in. They're like the small wheel.
Well, it's even better for YouTube if no one's getting paid for it.
Right. Well, it's like a small wheel that feeds to the big wheel, right? Like shorts are the shorter content. That's sort of like a teaser trailer, right? It's a teaser trailer to the whole progress of things, right? And when you set up a short, you can, tag where it came from or whatever, and people can go straight to that. So you can connect the dots, but I can't imagine how many, how complex that system is set up to just have that happen when you're in the, uploading the video to YouTube.
Yeah, and people underestimate that complexity, I think.
Yeah. I don't think they care. It's like with Apple, right? Apple made the complex simple. That was their whole deal back in the day and still is. And you see it how it works with their ecosystem, it works with their items. Now, of course, Apple's not perfect and people can complain all they want, but you saw the Apple Vision Pro, right? And you saw that.
Oh, yeah.
But that's just the first iteration, right? iPhone was the same way. The iPad was the same way. The first iteration is just a taste of what's to come. Like they may hate Apple all they want, and of course it's not like Steve Jobs' day, but at the end of the day, they test with the first product, and of course it's expensive. I'm not going to buy it, but down the road, people may want to buy it if they do a lesser form version. But that's going to be the future, right? It's going to be a mixture of VR and AR. Right now, you may have that with some, like, I think MetaQuest may do it, but if Apple can do it, that's another product into their ecosystem, which works real well. They've built an ecosystem that just is fluid. And of course, it's its own Unix. It's a closed system, right? It is a closed system, or Microsoft is a bit more open. But at the end of the day, Apple knows what works well for them, and it sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But that's how that tech stuff goes, so to speak.
Yeah, it's kind of a monstrosity. It's like anything in civics. People complain about a road getting built or a bridge getting built and how many years it takes to get it done, and they don't understand how much is really involved there. And until you're a part of it, until you at least have a taste of what it takes to do that stuff, you won't really ever appreciate it.
Yep, and by golly, it can you can see the frustration easily because you understand it if you're in it, right? But when you're on the outside and you don't understand it, you're just like, why can't it be simpler? Why can't it be whatever? And it's like, because you don't understand how this works behind the scenes. It's sort of like the Wizard of Oz, right? You saw the big head, you saw the fire and all this stuff, but behind was just a guy with a bunch of controls. And at that point, it sort of is like that. It's just a bunch of people coding in places, designing and all that stuff to make it.
And office politics and all the little back and forth. And it's I don't know. People, it is weird that I think sometimes I'll get frustrated with something and then I have to stop and think, maybe I'm frustrated with this because I don't understand it.
Right.
Like if a traffic light's acting a certain way and I'm like, well, why isn't it just turn on this way and not that way? And maybe they had a reason. Maybe there was some other unforeseen consequence to turning the light too soon or something. Yeah. So they, you never know what it is. And I just have, for the most part, I just trust that people are trying their best and they're trying to work towards a better state, no matter what it is that they're creating.
Yeah, you'd like to believe that, but hey, Gnome, how's it going? You like to believe that, but you can't know a person's intent even from them trying to work on it, right? Like I'm not gonna say that anyone in Rumble is malicious, whatever, but you can't, even with YouTube, you can't know their intent other than their actions. Their actions are what is the only thing you can judge by.
Well, you read their intent by their actions, right? So with YouTube, I've read that they don't want me to say certain words. They shadow ban me. and then I just go, okay, well, I see where you're going, so I'm just gonna go away. I think it's usually very evident. It's I'm talking about the in between spaces where people, you get frustrated, mundane daily things. I usually like to think of civics because people get mad about the freeway repairs or something's wrong on, why did this construction worker block this side of the road instead of that side of the road? I'm like, like there's reasons usually, and if there aren't reasons, then yeah, you kind of have to just forgive them for being stupid, because we all make mistakes, right? Like, it's not like I haven't done something that was inconvenient to other people. I do it all the time, probably. I think that's one of the things I was talking about before, is if you become aware of your own stupidity, then you can be a little more relaxed in other people's stupidity.
Yeah, either that or you can know when to hold yourself back from making more of a mess that already is, right? Like the drama, like the drama of the internet. When you can see it as easy, after you've done your own spiel, you can step aside and say, this, I know it's coming, so why even entertain it?
And if you didn't see other people as a third person, if you didn't see other people's drama, you wouldn't know to avoid it yourself, and you might get sucked up into it a little early. And then some poor people are too young for that. You think about these child celebrities who just go into this vortex of pain and suffering because they don't know any better. I can see that happening with a lot of these YouTube celebrities, for instance.
Yeah, but it comes back to that. YouTube is basically the you part. That's why it became so popular as well, is that you had a platform, a spotlight on you, but you have to earn it, right? You have to earn that spotlight. And, as time went on, it got more ingrained in the controls and censorship and all this stuff. And at a certain point, it's just, you have to earn your spot in the spotlight to be noticed. But YouTube made that accessible through content creation, and then they added monetization to it, and you can see the almost cutthroatness. After a certain point, it's more of like, it's like in the movies, right? You see a like Back to the Future. You see the first one, yeah, that's great. Then you come back for number two, and you get comfortable with the characters and all this stuff. And then number three comes around, but it's the end, right? And you're sort of like, well, I don't want it to end. I was careful with Doc Brown and all this stuff. Same with content creators. You become comfortable with them after a while. Something they'll say you disagree, or agree with all of them, depending on, and you just become comfortable with them, the personality, whatever. But there's a time of end there, and especially with content creation, right? Even if you're still alive, your content creation is still subject to whatever terms the platform has, and it can be erased for good, right? Everything you had on there is gone. Even after you're dead, everything can be gone, and it'll never be back. People can save it, people can re-upload it, but a platform has, hey, Rick.
I could think you could say that about a lot of things, though.
Yeah.
That's a very, in a way, that what you just said was a deep philosophical statement. Like, it's all gonna be gone anyway. If you think, it depends on your point of view too about death. When I die, do I really care where my belongings go? When I'm dead.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. There we go.
You got a mechanical keyboard, huh?
Yeah. I like the mechanicalness. Just giving him a sign. But yeah. That's why I've had discussions where I talk about what is value, right? What is value? What is all this other stuff? Because again, there's a point of where, like, or culture. What is culture, right? Well, it's just something a prescribed amount of time of human beings have made, and then after a long prescribed time has gone, then that same things, things change over time. They're never the same. Value changes and all this other stuff. So it's like you see people want to talk about the culture aspect, right? No worries, man. No worries. I just wanted to make sure because there's you and another person I'm waiting on. So glad you could get back. I like click my brown keys too. As long as the brown keys aren't like, never mind. Click clack with my brown keys too. All brown keys right down under. Because the alpha's from Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are loud. The brown keys.
Yeah, but I really like it nonetheless. I was trying to find like one of those super fancy ones, but they
Yeah.
cost too much, so it's just a LED one. Um, oh man, where was I? But yeah, it's
Talking
so
about culture. Yeah.
yeah, when I see people talk about culture, I feel like part of it is tradition. You know, traditions, right? Like traditions can go uh hundreds of years depending on, right, but they never last forever. Nothing does. I mean, it's not going to last forever anyway. You know, it could be swallowed whole by the sun at some point. But when we talk about culture, culture doesn't stay the same after a certain point. Egypt, right?
Mhm.
Who are we still, poking the brain out and swilling around and making mummies? No, but that was part of their culture at that time. But we don't do that anymore.
Yeah, I guess it'd be easy to maybe conflate culture with the zeitgeist. I don't know if you're familiar with that term.
uh,
Um,
Not really, but I'll
so the
explain.
zeitgeist is just the spirit of the age, so to speak. So it's kind of the overall sentiment of the global consciousness.
Mm,
And so you could say that culture itself is a microcosm of the overall zeitgeist of the world. You
mm,
could say there's zeitgeists in isolation, like in particular continents or countries.
yeah.
But it's one of those things where if you treat it as if it's an entity, which is kind of what the term implies, is that it's like this. I think zeitgeist means time ghost, so it's the
Oh,
spirit of the age, whatever you want to call it. So um, if you treat it like it's a living being, and just like any other living being, they evolve and grow and change over time.
right.
So we still carry things from far back, but it 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 morphs slowly over time, right?
Yeah. Stories. Stories
Hmm.
is a good one, right? Like you think of Norse mythology, right? When they first started out, it wasn't as what it is now. The stories carry throughout time, but they also got changed a bit. You know, there's a wording here changed, or maybe someone had an
Hmm.
idea to add on to, or maybe they add another story. Things change over time, so they never stayed relatively the same. It
Yep.
can't because you if you're a storyteller, right? You're trusting the next person along the way to tell the story exactly, but they're not going to.
Yep.
Not always. Majority
Then
of
you
the
end up
time.
with Thor, Love, and Thunder, and then
Yeah. Well, that's Marvel mythology. They just borrowed from Norse mythology because you couldn't
yeah,
copyright it to some degree. But yeah, it's you try you try and look back and over those stuff like idioms, right? Idioms are a basis of shortcutting judgment pieces, right? Like don't judge a book by its cover, you know, what is it, the tortoise and the hare, slower wins waste or cut, measure twice, cut once, all this stuff.
yeah,
They're shortcuts, but they're not always true. Like the big one, right? Like where there's smoke, there's fire. As we learn through life, that's not always the case though, right? You could see smoke, but then it'd just be a smoldering ash of nothing. It's just someone doused it with water and they've left and it's now just
yeah.
smoldering out. So
It
it's
could
not
be one
always
of our it could be one of our pot smoking friends on Rumble. You never know.
that, that's true. I see it right now. It says come around 4 for another pipe session.
Yeah. What time is it? Oh, we already passed 4:20. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But
I think the key point with passing on knowledge over time is not the exact words, but the underlying spirit of the message, right? I think that's where the Native Americans kind of get it right, is that they're not so concerned about precise information as much as here's the key thing you need to take away from it, right? And I think your idioms were a perfect example of that, right?
mhm,
Haste makes waste. It's like, okay, don't rush it because you're going to end up making more mistakes. And even if you change the words of that, as long as the meaning was still there, as long as you understand what it means. I think
right.
part of it though is we don't understand what some of the stuff we say means anymore.
Mhm,
People say stuff, all idioms all the time, and I don't think they actually know what it means. I have to look some up myself, and I look them up and I go, this doesn't mean what I thought it meant.
yeah. Well, and that and change and the meaning of words change too, and that's you go back to like William
Hmm.
Shakespeare time. The meaning of words change, the uses of words change. The dictionary changes, but as you
Yeah.
as you stated, there's that spirit of the time, and I think, it's not by decade because decades are kind of a small point. You can't go by a hundred years, which is a 100 years a century, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can't go by century. I think at a certain point you can only the real big change comes from maybe a millennium because it's so long apart. No one lives long enough to see the information corrected in a sense. So it's sort of like millennium and more is where that stuff
I
more
would
notable change.
I would disagree because I like reading books from the 1800s. I'm
Mm,
fascinated with the technology we had in the 1800s
mm,
and the knowledge we had, especially the medical knowledge. Very fascinating stuff. And
right,
it is hard to read.
right.
Very hard to read. And I don't mean because it's like medically like I can read medical journals fine. I'm not good at reading out loud, but when I'm just reading for my own sake,
Mm,
I read a lot of medical journals for fun. That sounds ridiculous, right? But I'm fascinated by naturopathy and other modalities. So I like to read a lot of that stuff. But when I read stuff from the 1800s, it becomes incredibly difficult, even if it's not medical related. Like I'll read, like what was it, Uncle Tom's Cabin. I had to read that one because everyone talks about this whole thing.
mm,
And I went and read the book, and I'm like, what's this book all about? Why is everyone so upset about this one guy named Tom? You know,
mm,
and then I read the book, and I'm like, this is hard to read because the language was so different.
mm,
And so I would say that even like 200 years is a good enough time where things can change. And I
mm.
also think it depends on who's changing it. Like right now, we're having a huge problem with people trying to change the words that we can say. Like right now, we're on YouTube, right?
Both.
And there's a whole host of words that I can't use right now because it would do damage to your channel, and I'm not
I'm not
gonna do that to you.
I'm not monetized. I don't care. I give my thing is I give you 98%. All I ask is for the 2%. So it's like no gamer words, but you can curse if you want to. I don't care. I'm
Well, I'm
not
not
making
interested
money
in
on
cursing unless it has a purpose, personally.
right. Well, you're a lot different than most people then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if I'm gaming, I'll curse if it's just an exclamation of some sort of feeling, right? But outside of that, I'm not going
Mhm.
around just blowing, these curse words out for no apparent reason. If I'm using a word, I'm trying to convey something important, you know.
Yeah. Which is a funny thing because a lot of if I would just rather make something up new than just keep using the same old what, 8 to 9 words that people
Yeah.
have because you find yourself able to just kind of just throw things out and see whatever see whatever sticks and just have fun with it, right? Because that
Yeah.
becomes your own form of just wording, right? Like you could what is it? You could just spew some nonsense word and people are like, what was that? And it's like, well, it's just I'm not using the regular curse words. It's just me doing this thing. And so
Mhm.
you get more. I think you'd get more inventive. Sometimes some people maybe not, but it would feel like you get more inventive. Like I've been able to hold a stream by myself before, having a solo stream. So I'm inventive and just going anywhere. There's so much information out there. It's just like I could pick something random and just keep going from that point.
Mhm.
But for some people, that's not an easy task because some are just few I've had on, the very few are reactionaries where they just watch someone else's content and react to it and all this stuff and just whatever. And some people are creative in how they go about their business, whether it be books, gaming, whatever else they're going for. But for me, it's sort of like with what I do, with whatever, and you've watched a few, at least from what I've heard,
Mhm.
is that the field is wide and long, and a lot of content creators, stick to a niche and just stick in the field. But when you have people just stick to their circles and just talk to these people who've made it as content creators, whatever, you kind of miss out on the point of who you're going towards, right? Like I've had people on who weren't creators or didn't create at all, and for some reason I'm still able to hold a conversation with them. So there's
Well,
there's
people
that
are
right there.
people, and you know what? On my channel, I just, I talk to just regular people on there. I play RoboCraft with a guy who he doesn't have a channel. He's not a streamer. I'm not gaining anything out from it. I just want to hang out,
Mhm.
and and that's all they want to do. And it's funny too because I was talking to some of these guys, and it's like they're like, yeah, we came here because on YouTube they shadow banned us, and all we wanted to do was play a game, and then people came in and said you can't say certain words and you can't say this, and they gave up, and they're like, they gave up something they liked doing
Yeah.
because someone said you can't say these words. And I think that's what we were getting back at with the change of language is someone's trying to accelerate the change of language, and I don't like it. That's why I'm a free speech absolutist. I think that there are certain words that we've taken out of context and we have demonized it unnaturally. Again, I'm not going to state any of those words here, but I'll tell you this: with all the stuff I've read regarding health and wellness for my own personal use, there, especially in the old texts, the majority of the pejoratives that we have now come from medical terminology.
Right.
If you really think about it, a lot of the things that are banned from saying are things that label someone as crazy or let's just say dumb. They were medical terminology before. And I even joked, and I think I can get away with this one still. But like instead of using the R word, I could technically, at some point, we might get to the point where we say, "What do you?" I was like, I want to make sure I get this right. What are you, differently abled? Like you could use it, like if you want to use it as an insult, that's what you would do. You would it kept morphing, and the goalpost kept changing. And so we're at this point where you can't even, you're about to not be able to say the word autistic.
Yeah.
Because everyone's using that term. They got other terms out there, and I don't know which one. I don't know if any of them are banned on YouTube or not. I don't really care anymore. But
yeah,
they're all medical terms. Autism. They're using what term? Spurg, I guess, is one of them because it's a shortening of the term.
Asperger's.
Yeah, Asperger's. Yeah. And so why is that? Why is it that medical terminology that defines someone of having a condition, why is it that those are the ones that keep getting banned? I'm serious. Like in there's a video on YouTube, but it's a historic video.
Yeah.
And all it is it's from the National Institutes of Health or something, and it's black and white video from 1950 something. And it goes on for 5 minutes describing all the different kinds of R words that are out there. And it's like showing different people, like one person with like ADHD. They're like, this one's just slightly R word. So, and that was a diagnosis back then. And now we're like, oh, well, we can't say that word anymore. It's like, okay, so then we can't say someone is, someone's manic depressive. We're not allowed to say someone has schizophrenia. At what point are you going to just scrub all of the diagnoses off the face of the planet? And what does that even mean? I'm curious,
Well, even George Carlin had a great set about, going from shell shock to like PTSD, right? Like it was the changing of the word.
Yeah.
But I mean, you have shows like Family Guy who say, what was it, retarded or whatever. That's sort of the thing that to say. But they're able to still post stuff on YouTube. I mean, the song Dire for Straight's Money or whatever, you have the bundle of sticks word in there twice. Still on YouTube. So what becomes the acceptable recipient for whatever, right? Because that's a song. Are you going to ban a song for the words, or are you just going to keep letting it play? You have to be able to. That's where YouTube is incorrect in its balancing, because it doesn't.
Yeah.
For one party, it will be incorrect for, but another party will be like, go whatever. Do it.
I mean, they had for at least a long time. They were talking about how they don't have, like, they're censoring sexual content, and they still, for a long time, I don't know if they still have it up, but there was a medical video where it was basically two people having sex on camera.
Yeah.
And it was and the thing is it was worse than most of those types of videos, because they literally strapped a camera to the guy's genitalia as it's going in.
Oh,
so I'm like, they allowed that on YouTube. But then they were like busting people for, and not to say that they should let that type of stuff on there, but I just think that it's kind of weird how they do have a hard task of discerning those things,
Well, naked yoga's on YouTube, but it's all artistic nudity. Yeah, you could go right now to.
Are you sending me links right now?
No, I'm not sending you links. I could type in. I could type in naked yoga right now, and you're gonna find it.
I can see it in your glasses.
Sorry, apologies. Don't point that out. You didn't see that. But it's artistic nudity, right? That's what the brand should
Yeah.
put under, right? It's artistic nudity, but you can find it on YouTube. You're welcome, internet. I just gave you something to find on YouTube. Now let's see if they ban it or not.
Well, and it goes back to the what is profane, right? Who's defining profane, and why is something profane in the first place? And the only thing I can think of is it's a mode of control, right? You're trying to control something from getting out, and so what you do is you put a shame label on it, which usually has the opposite effect. I've been seeing the resurgence of the R word, where people are actually, like, I do it on my channel. I was just like, you know what, I'm bringing the word back.
Yeah.
But the thing is I'm not going around using it maliciously. I'm like, I'm calling myself that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you know what, like, I'm deficient in so many ways. I think that's part of kind of getting older and understanding more, that you realize, you also have flaws. I being, you being me,
Yeah.
when I see flaws in myself, I'm like, you know what? It's kind of a declaration of, hey, look, I'm not perfect, and so I'm trying to bring the word back, because I think it's unfortunate that it's being pushed out of the, like, as if it should be completely banished. It's like, look, you can have the discernment to say, hey, I'm not going to, if you're going around calling people that maliciously and those people happen to be mentally disabled, okay, fine. Then that's an attack. Okay, that's not cool. But most people recognize that that's not cool. But when you go and say, okay, we're trying to fix this by getting rid of the word, that doesn't work. It just makes the word stronger. That's the other thing. Go ahead.
It puts it on the ground more. But anyway, we've reached the hour mark, and if you've ever seen my other streams, you know that at that point in time, I set aside, a point where we can promote ourselves. Now, obviously, I put your stuff in the description down below. But if you want to go ahead and promote your channel, and I'll do mine. We'll go from there.
Oh, well, I don't really. I just don't think I'm promoting it. I'm just here for fun. I'm here to hang out with people and talk, like people like you. And so if people want to follow me, go right ahead. If you want to unfollow me, go ahead. I think I'm trying to get back down to 69 subscribers or followers, because my goal was 69 and we overshot it. So if any of you are following and you don't like my stuff, just bring me back to 69. It's a better number. And if that doesn't work, we'll go to 420, I guess. I don't know.
There you go.
Those are my goal numbers.
Man, working up the numbers, but you still promoted yourself anyway, so there you go. That's ideal right there. That's ideal. But anyway, so you all know, whether you're watching right now or watching in the future. Ooh, the future. I stream to both YouTube and Rumble. I also have a Discord under at Daramouthe. So you can watch me either here or there. I know I have a little more on Rumble than YouTube, but I'm growing on both ends, so that's great. But I also have a fan account at Daramouthe on Twitter X. I also have an email, which you see down below. If you'd like to have the same opportunity like Hanz over here, like Hanz over here, Hanz, go to any of those three places or leave a comment on either YouTube or Rumble, and we can get started. It's not that difficult. If you're worried about not knowing what to say or whatever, don't worry about it, because I can come up with whatever. It's not that difficult for me. We can go to the straight beyond to the sky sort of thing. So don't worry about it. Give it a shot, give it a chance, walk through the door and see what happens. Because I'm telling you what, I've had a few people on who said they were anxious or worried or didn't think they know what to say. Had fun. They'll come back another day. So don't worry about it. Give it a try. And again, you can try those three places I mentioned, or you can leave a comment on YouTube or Rumble, and then we can get started. It's not that difficult. And also, before we continue further, yes, I have to do the thing you saw on YouTube many times: like, subscribe, follow, la la la, all this stuff. Look, the reason I do it is because in order to have more people on, I have to be seen more, right? Like I have to have more eyes on me. I'm not the best marketer, all right? I'm just here, a human being, just trying to do this weird fandangle thing to have more conversations with others. Like Hanz here was a recipient of part of my Pay It Forward stream, which is just going through Rumble on Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern, and just giving likes, giving donations, and just kind of well wishes along the way, and then person after person after person. And I'm always surprised at the end. I never give with an expectation. I give without expectation. I'm always surprised at the end. So but yeah, in order to be seen more, you have to do that whole spiel. So if you could, with some time of your own, whether you like the stream or the video or the short video, or you leave a comment or you follow, either all those three or any of the three, any of it work, because the conversation was I most go for. All the likes, donos, follows, all that stuff, that's secondary to this, because I tell you what, you get surprised at how many people just want to be able to say something without all the fighting of politics, without all the fighting of all this out there, just stupid stuff, right? Because we're all surrounded by things we consider stupid stuff. So, but anyway, if you could do one of those three or do all three, whichever it is, greatly appreciate it, because it helps me get seen more. I would put it this way. I thought of it today. If I get seen more, it helps you guys out, because there are people that you are now watching that you can be connected to, that you can have a conversation, that you could talk to. So by helping me, I help you.
Jerry Maguire.
Well, whatever, but it's still it's still
help
the same.
Me, help you.
Help me help you guys. You help me get seen. I help bring on more people, and you get to talk to them. Yes, my keyboard was always heard. Yep. There we are. But yeah, so I don't even know words. But yeah, I know it's an annoyance. I know that sort of thing's annoyance, because they say on YouTube all the time, the creators, I see you later, Rec. See you later, Rec. Have a good one. But I begun trying to do it recently more, because I'm trying to grow on both, but I'm trying to build my credibility. You kind of, to build your credibility, you have to be seen more and all that stuff. You have to do the dirty work. But at the end of the day, if it means I get to talk to more people, if it means more people get to see those people and get to talk to them, I have become this resource of connection. Oh, there you go. Look at that. You guys shout out.
Hey, what's up?
So, but yeah, that's why I do it, so I can get that connection, so I connect you. You help connect me, you help me get seen, I connect you. It's how this works. The circle of life right there. Or content creation.
My text wasn't scrolling, so I never saw the recent stuff.
No, you're fine. But yeah, it's a part of the ordeal, but it's not like I'm not trying to stay humble about this, right? Like, I'm not some of those content creators that are in for like the fame or the money or whatever.
We're way more humble than those other content creators.
Yeah, those content creators. Not that I'm saying I wouldn't like that stuff. It's just I don't want to be seen like that's the main goal. This is the main goal, right?
Yeah.
Like I can't. I don't know if you've been invited on other streams, but to my thought was to invite people who aren't creators or are creators to have a conversation about whatever. That seems to hold more water and weight than just talking about a niche in a faction of life. Like, if you have just to be able to talk about life itself, dear Lord, there's so much to talk about. There's not enough time for one stream. You have to go to another one. So it's like, all right, here we go.
And it's a good medium to convey those thoughts, because until we have brain chips and we're all communicating all the time, it's the only efficient way to communicate. The chat's good, but if you're just you're limited the number of letters you can put in there, and you can't convey meaning of feeling and all that such. So it is nice to actually talk to someone face to face and kind of flesh things out.
Yeah, not face. Oh, pop goes weasel. Yeah, I had an ice cream truck pass by, so.
Oh, I thought it was your phone.
No. It was an ice cream truck. And the ice cream trucks, in the U.S., they have just played that song, or Turkey in a Straw. I think it was. Turkey is the old song Turkey in a Straw. I think it is. But they play those two songs, entice kids to come get ice cream. And sometimes the ice cream's not always that great. I'm an adult. I can buy my own ice cream. So there you go.
Yeah, it's cheaper.
It's cheaper too. But yeah, I had that thought about, like, if one day things get better, like I don't own the place I'm at. I rent out a room in a house, and I always thought, like, having a table, like I picture it this way, right? There's a like those weird butcher style table, right? Like, it has all those inlet of pieces of wood that look different, whatever. And you just have this table, and you have like stools or comfortable seats, whatever. And you just have two people just sitting down talking, and sort of the background's like this. It's a home. it's a home, but it's a home like you see the background. It's sort of like a light blue, and you have like you can see kitchen and all this other stuff. But you just sit at this butcher black table, which is big enough, right? And you have
Mm.
two people on the side. They're in comfortable chairs, and you're just sitting there talking about whatever. It's not. There's no fancy camera work. I mean, maybe a camera could be better, but it's closest to bare bones as possible to have a conversation about whatever. Of course, you have the thing about like flying people out or whatever, but that's a totally different thing. That's just a vision I see of what one day could be if this grows more successfully in the sense of like the financial side. Not that I'm on that, but still, that's part of
Right.
that
Well,
appeal.
I'm just looking forward to seeing you like a year from now you'll have a gold chain, and then next year you'll be another gold chain, and then you'll have
No,
a ring, and then
uh,
the next like 5 years out you'll just be blinged
yeah.
out. Just you should just do that as like an inside joke. Is just stack. It could be just fake like candy chains or something like that. Just
Candy, like the candy necklaces. Like,
yeah,
yo, dog, I got one
and
down,
then
more to go.
and every time every time you add a new item, you do a little monologue about how humble you are.
Yeah. Listen, yo. Look, guys, look, like, listen. Just go down that line of like,
Yeah.
he's already said this like 5 different times. Can he just get on with
He's
it?
got a gold chainmail on. He's just full like knight armor, just all out of gold, and just at the by like 10 years later. Oh, that'd be funny.
10 years later, he's sitting down. He's just like rapping, yo. I come to the stream. I do my thing. I go, what is that? Oh, never mind. Anyway, you try with it, but yeah, and then also in the past, someone tried to, someone asked me like, well, how would you describe your stream? And of course, it was like it's a one-on-one conversation. But then I was like, well, it's sort of a cross between Whose Line Is It Anyway and Craig Ferguson, because I watched those two shows when I was younger, and they both have a claim of improvisation. They both have a claim of just a form of relaxing and all. There's an anxiousness, right? But once you get into the groove, it's relaxing, it's fun, it's all that stuff. Because if
Mhm.
something's not fun, you won't continue to do it, and people won't continue to come see you, and that's
Right.
that thing right there. But if you also aren't quick on your feet or something, whatever, because a lot of times it's more planned out. Like there's this whole whatever, it's planned out of what you say or whatever. And majority of the time, Craig Ferguson, when he would have a celebrity on, which would be most of his guests anyway, he would just tear up the cards of what questions to ask and be like, whatever, let's just talk about. And majority of the time, those people that were on the show were there to promote a movie, a TV show, whatever, and they never got to it.
Let's face it, your background with the mini fridge and the messy bed, that's just to keep people comfortable.
Yeah,
They feel at home, and that
this is
post-it notes on the wall. I think I get what you're saying. Yeah, like you're trying to make the people comfortable, because a lot of people will just turn it down because it seems too professional, and then they put you on a pedestal and they think, well, this is like going on TV or something.
yeah.
And if you shoot too high for your presentation,
Mhm.
then people are going to be more anxious and you're going to get a lower quality output, you
Yeah.
know?
And it's sort of like when I was mentioning my thing of what I saw in my mind. It's sort of like a home comfort feel. Like you'd see like Martha Stewart and all her stuff, right? It'd be a home comfort feel. Now, of course, she's a celebrity and she's
And
doing
she's
all
been
this
in
stuff.
jail. Yeah.
Yeah, she's been in jail for insider trading.
Yeah.
But the thing of it is, right, is when you can have somebody, whatever they may be. I mean, if you make enough money, you could bring wherever. But it's sort of like you live that. The thing is, it's not a studio, it's a lived in point, right? You just put the camera and stuff away and disconnect it. So it's not like how you hear the conspiracies, like if it's connected to the internet people can see or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that sort of stuff. But it's sort of like if you can have something that's very homely, but it's also you live there, right? You live in this place, it's part of you. Like I live here. I know it's not perfect, right? The post-it
Yeah.
notes
I
are,
live here. I live in a 10 by 10 box.
yeah,
I mean, this is my room, man.
yeah.
I sleep on the floor on a Shikibutan mattress. So
Mm.
I don't even have a real bed. So you're already upgraded like 10 times what I have as far as
Yeah.
cost. So
Well, and also the post-it notes are sort of like the red ones that you see right here. Those are people who are memberships on
mm.
Rumble, and the yellow and blue ones are rants, people who've ranted to me, and it's
That's
just
cool. I didn't know that. That's like a cool little like Easter egg.
well. And the thing of it was like someone. I can't remember who was like, there's no color on your wall or whatever. It's just gray or whatever. I was like, okay. And then there's a content creator I follow. I haven't watched recently, but they're called Side Scrollers Podcast, and he would, do a post note of memberships or money given or whatever, and he would put that on his back wall, right? It'd be more uniform, but it would be on his back wall, like new members, new donations, whatever. And I sort of like, well, they complain I don't have enough color on my wall, and this is also a way of showing people that support or whatever. So it's like killing two birds with one stone. I get to color my wall and show support as well. So it's like, there
You
you
want an
go.
idea? You want an
Yeah.
idea? Put a
Well,
grid on your wall with an A column, A B C D, a letter column, and a number column. And then when they super chat or they rumble rant you, they get to pick a square and a color, and then people can try to draw things. You ever see that website? What is it called? It was like the $1 million website where everyone could buy pixels, and they would take a little ad space. So if someone wanted to draw something on your wall, they could pay for certain slots.
Well, right now I only have like 3 different colors. Usually I just use the red for memberships, so it's just these 2. I'll try and look and see if there are other different color post-it notes, but right now these are the only ones I could see that were different colors.
It's just an idea. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. So it's like a grade. I'd have to use like the painter's tape, right? Because again, I don't own the place I'm in. I have to. So I probably could try and do that.
Or you get like a wide format print pretty cheap. I know that some of these printer places can do like just rolls of paper dirt cheap or something like that. Yeah.
Now what is that? Can you explain that a bit, because I don't know myself what that looks like per se.
At a print shop, you can get like 36-inch wide rolls of paper printed in a grid pattern. Usually they use that stuff for blueprints. So you say, you guys have blueprint paper, and then maybe they can just give you a couple sheets and you can draw your own grid, or you can have them print a grid on there.
I probably would, because I don't have a ruler to measure, like, do the, because
literally it'd cost you like maybe $20 to do it for a wall that size.
Yeah. Well, and also the only portion of it is what's seen, because I mean I can go solo and my wall is seen more, but when it's like this, like the divide right here, I'm only seeing a cut, so I have to keep it within frame of the.
One more. Well, you know how you can put a background behind you. Maybe just do a digital one and you just draw one up on a computer.
I'll stick with your idea, because that's more like it doesn't take up processing power per se. And I don't want to.
I just like to throw that out there, because you never know, it might turn into a thing if you can figure out how to execute it. It's still in my head, it's just kind of fuzzy, but I thought, I'll throw that out there maybe, because I think it's kind of cool that you see what's up there, but eventually you're gonna be like, well, what do we do with this information? Can we turn it into something? Do you have like a gang war up there on your screen where you got yellows versus blues and you're trying to like position them like chess pieces? I don't know. You could think of something.
Yeah, I wish I was that creative all the time. I like bouncing ideas though, so yeah, because I could do. Well, I'm more of like your idea of like you could pay a bit to have something. Well, what was it? You said it's something drawn, or to draw something. What was that idea?
Well, if you were to do a grid, then someone could pay for these positions over time, and then like spell something or draw a stick figure or whatever, and then of course you're going to be open to people doing profane things with it, but that's up to you to decide if that's worth the risk. But I imagine if someone's paying that much money, they're probably not going to do that to you.
Yeah, my rule would be no profane stuff. So,
yeah.
Sorry guys, the rule's going to be there anyway. Oh, that's part of the 98% rate, 2% right there.
Yeah,
there's more 98%, but I'm not going to put it up because one, I do stream to both places. I mean, I can still show curse. I do still show curse words, but like you're talking like bundle of sticks and all this stuff, I don't.
Yeah. There's a certain line where it's not even good taste.
Yeah. And some people just want to be ruiners of things, trolls and stuff. But yeah, I definitely look into it, or maybe a message. But the thing of it is, they couldn't see it because of how small the post-it note is. So it's sort of like.
Yeah, it's like art. You have to think about it as a medium. So you go, okay, I can see the post-it notes are there. They're in a pattern. So you can recognize the pattern from there. You're not going to be able to read the post-it notes. So putting the message on there, for me as a viewer, I can't see that that's there. But maybe it can represent something else. Like I said, you could have like a not tic-tac-toe. You could probably do something like Connect 4, Connect 4 might work. You just do like a pick. You can get a poster of Connect 4, and then people can play Connect 4, and they just have to pick a row, and it drops down.
Actually, that's not a bad idea. I mean, I'd have to get different colored. Well,
Yeah, you'd only need 2 colors. You just
yeah,
say you got team black, team red, or
yeah,
whatever, and then you could choose your team that you're on, and then you can pay to put one down.
yeah. It would have to be like the memberships would still be a separate thing though, because they are part of the ordeal, right? And I can now with the new addition for Rumble, I can go back and see who donated what without it disappearing. But no, that's not bad. Not tic tac toe, but Connect 4. Yeah, Connect 4 would be a good one because I can make that as long as it's within the camera scene,
Yeah.
right? Like, because they have to see it. But if I make it within the against the wall and then just kind of take it over to where that
Yeah.
yellow piece is, it's not a bad idea. I mean, I'd still keep these stuff I have on that wall to just show that, but that would be a new idea to start. And
It
of course,
could be for a certain type of stream. Maybe you'll have a certain stream where that happens, maybe, and then for the regular wall, you could. I mean, that would suck for you because then you have to put them back up or something. But you never know.
Well, with Connect 4, it's sort of like at a certain point, once it's filled, or you can't go any further, you can just empty it off and just either put it on the side or whatever.
Yeah, the rule would be that it'd be up until someone actually gets the Connect 4, and then it just wipes it clean. Because eventually you will run out of space on your wall anyway. So someone's got to understand at some point that they're not going to be up there forever.
Yeah, guys, look at all these post-it notes. Yeah, no, that would be interesting. I'll write that down for Connect.
And there's other games out there. I mean, I just picked the first one that might work.
Well, it's simpler, right? Connect 4 is this. Almost everyone knows Connect 4, right?
Yeah.
I don't know about Australia, but still. So Connect 4. What is that? Connect.
I think Alpha Zero is Australian, right? He can tell us.
Yeah, Alpha Zero. Connect 4 wall idea. I'll just put that down there. Yeah, because I still keep if someone signs up for like a monthly membership, that's a separate ordeal. But
I like how Rumble is kind of innovating a few, like people in Rumble, I should say, not Rumble itself, but they're innovating little bit meta ways of interacting. Like these streams where people are cross reacting, and I mean that's not unusual in even YouTube, but I do like I like the meta interactions. So like you having post-it notes in your back, that's another meta interaction I haven't seen before. Although, like you said, other people are doing it, or they're doing other similar things. But I see newer ideas emerging, and I think people are thinking outside the box because we're having fun with it. The community is still very small, so it's easy to catch the little Easter eggs here and there and the inside jokes. If someone goes into one chat, they're going to say a certain word or post a certain emoticon or something like that, and everyone else is going to automatically know what that means. I think that's kind of cool. And so anything you can do to facilitate that makes it better.
And also I think too is like giving the post-it notes purpose and then just coloring up my wall gives it more of an action to more of a front action rather than just passive, right?
And then more people ask about it because at first I probably wouldn't have mentioned. I mean, we were just talking. I was more interested in your refrigerator than the post-it notes. So I was like, so it just came up from that conversation. But I think most people probably wouldn't even question it unless they were all of a sudden, why is there a board back there and what's those things on it? Then all of a sudden they're interested, and then you get people engaged.
Yeah, no, that definitely be. And again, Connect 4 can be done ad infinitum, right? Like you hit a point, you clear the board, it can start over again. I mean, as long as you have enough. If you just have like 5 rows of 3, it's not going to last very long. So you kind of have to make it like wide enough. But as you've stated, if you make it interactive enough for it to be worth something, people will be more inclined. Or I mean, I guess the ruling would have to be like what gets on there, what gets because you have degree of like from 100 to 500, right? So how much does $1 get you? How much does 2 or whatever? So yeah, that'll be something.
You can keep it simple and just say it's just any number amount, and then because some people like me, if I do a rant, it's usually with a purpose and it's more for effect than it is about like the money. So someone could give you $100, but that's up to them, unless you come up with a game that requires a certain amount of power, like maybe this, that's you would have to look into that. But I think that more of that interaction will get more people involved. Like I think I started donating because of Red Pill Fight Club. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
No, no.
It's literally like he made it like Mortal Kombat between two people. He picks two people in the chat, the first two people to donate, and then they have a life bar for each person. And so you would donate, and you'd have to tell people, and what you got for your donation was you got to play a song or something that you wanted to play, and then your number goes to the person you choose. So if you're going to back somebody, you can back somebody. So you can back this player, you can back the other player, and so I did that a couple times. Well, I did that. I did a couple donations on that stream where it was me versus Dear Sarge. And it was really fun because we were having the fun back and forth. We were talking crap, and it's a good way to engage people and kind of make a game of it.
Ooh, I just had a thought. What if in the Connect 4, the person who
wins gets a dono back? I don't know.
I do that with Piv, so it's not really. No, I was thinking that in a Connect 4, right? You could, and I'd have to get like several different colors or at least a few different colors. But if someone donates a 1, right? And I donated 1, it goes on there, and they keep going until like they're 1 away. Now, of course, they could get blocked by someone, but yeah, if you're playing by yourself, it's kind of because someone could spam 1s, so there's that. But then I thought, like, what if someone donates higher and wants to erase one of their 1s, right? Like, so the donation becomes the destruction of the old, right? So if you want to take away that 1, you have to donate higher. You don't have to. See you later. See you later, Alpha. You don't have to, but it's sort of like a fun game. Like, I want my spot back. So someone donates a 2, you donate you either 1 higher or whatever, and you fight for that point. I mean, I can't remember what. There's a game of similarity to that, but I can't remember what that is.
It sounds like Go is what it sounds like a little bit, where they have a black and a white piece, and there's different versions of it. There's like thousands of different versions, but so it could be something like that, where it's about placement and owning the whole board. That way you don't win instantly by just putting $4 down, 4 1s. So that's a possibility too, where you have to dominate the board. You have to have a majority of the. I think it would be great if you actually ended up with a brand new game. That would be a really cool thing. But you want to base it off of an existing game that people are familiar with, I think.
Connect 4, because I think that's a better idea. Is where you could in essence. I mean, it wouldn't. Because then it'd be like, well, what's the stretch, right? Like, someone could destroy everyone's, that person's row because they donated little, right? Well, yeah, you don't have to donate to destroy, to take down those pieces, but there's that. I think it'd have to be work in progress, but that's the idea I have. It's like you could donate more to take down that person's piece, and then they'd either block you or with another simpler one, or like tic-tac-toe, right? They block you with a circle or an X, but with the Connect 4, I'd have to call it a new name, like Connect 4 destruction or something like that, and they'd be able to either block you with a new one, or they'd overpower with a new rant, like a higher rant.
Yeah, and it could be one of those things where, as you play with it, I think that's how most things are created. Is you try something, right, and then you play with it, and then you figure out the rules along the way. You realize what works and what doesn't work. So trying to figure it out all at once isn't really necessary. It's just a matter of trying. So maybe you start with Connect 4 and you just play a round or two, and you wait until someone breaks the game. Kind of like the what we started with this conversation with, which was the beta testing. You almost have to go through the failures. Everyone's so worried about failing. That's part of this stream too, is people are afraid of coming on the stream and failing.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of what you're doing, is you're trying to get rid of that fear of failure. And I think that's perfect. That's a perfect analogy for what your stream stands for, is getting rid of the fear of failure by developing a game on the fly in the background, that may or may not work.
Right.
You know.
And also the aspect of, like I said earlier, with some people feeling anxious, but like with my guest yesterday's SVG, Scottish Viking Gaming,
Mm-hmm.
he was anxious from the get go, but as soon as time went on, he was comfortable, he felt better. So it's overcoming the internal fear of having a conversation with someone else, the anxiety of it. What am I gonna say? How am I gonna say it? Whatever. And it's just like, dude, I can carry a stream by myself. All you have to do is be willing to say something, you know.
Yeah.
And you can go to my
Yeah.
solo streams and you can just see me blabber on for almost, I have had help with chat, but I've blabbered on for at least an hour or so, depending
Yeah.
on.
For me, my only real worry is, I guess you call it ADD. I've never been diagnosed, but my issue is probably the same as what you're probably talking about. Is I would be worried that I would talk too much, or I would talk over people, or I wouldn't pay attention to what they have to say. And so for me, it's a practice of listening. It's a practice of comprehension, because I can sometimes just space off really easily. And so for me, and I just looked at it as an opportunity to work on that.
Yeah, it's sort of like the dog Doug and Up, where it's just like, oh, squirrel,
Yep.
and all that stuff. It's just, but I think, like you've said, if you were willing to play with it, if you're willing to not be pushy, but in the sense of like, you're okay here, don't worry about it. If you can't figure out a word, I'll try to find something that is relatable to you, and then we can go from there, right? Like I've tried to do that with a few others who just seem to be very held back in some manner, not saying very much, but I've always been able to at least find something in what they say by, probe questioning, right? You probe them for stuff and trying to find out, and then you kind of hit on a piece of nugget that's kind of something they enjoy or familiarity, and you kind of just go down this rabbit hole a bit. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's just took down and isn't took down.
He's saying Tim Pool got taken off of Rumble. Is that what he's saying?
The Lord of the Rings. I don't know. Are you saying he got taken down YouTube, or
he took him down? He took himself down?
Possibly. The way it's worded is not. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, that's why it's great to be talking to people in person, because a slight, typo can make it really hard to understand.
So he pulled the same thing he's done before. He was live on YouTube, and then they kind of hit him, and then he just went to his website, because that's what he's trying to do, is promote.
Oh, yeah.
So he's done it before, so like it's not nothing new, but he does put like old streams, I guess, up on Rumble, but he's done it before. I'm not surprised it's no different now. So
he's not on Rumble at all, right?
He's on Rumble. He just puts his old stuff on. He doesn't live stream to it. But yeah, I think he's just, when that happens, Lord of the Rings, he just sends people to his website, because that's where he's going to make more money.
Yeah, he's trying to cut the middleman, I guess.
Yeah. So because he has more, I believe the quartering said he has more money through memberships there than anything else, but he still uses YouTube, because that's where a big chunk of it is. He's not going to put himself live stream on Rumble, because Rumble doesn't offer him enough money. That's basically it. Tim Pool's about money, because he has a compound, he has all this stuff, so it's about money. It's same for others.
I don't know enough about Tim Pool to have an opinion about him. I know a lot of people seem to be upset with him, and I don't know why.
Well, then I don't know what to tell you. Then it's his business. So if he's not going to do anything, that's on him. Like, whatever. If he gets taken, because again, Tim Pool, he does the whole stay in the YouTube lines. He doesn't talk about certain subjects or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's like he cuts himself off from having a real conversation. Tim Pool can't have a real conversation if he's worried about YouTube because of all the money stuff, right? So if he's like holding back on stuff, like in Zombieland, right, where he says it's either time to nut up or shut up. He's not going to, because
okay. So the sentiment is that this guy is on the right side of the politics, but he's tying his own hands for the sake of YouTube.
YouTube monetization and stuff, and not just monetization, but what is it? Being seen. I think.
The fame side of it.
Well, not the fame, but the algorithm stuff, being
Okay.
seen and all that. But the thing of it is right, that only lasts for so long, and you don't get to have real conversations. Like for me, I'm not monetizing YouTube. I probably could be. I've been hit with like content ID claims, but never nothing that would take my thing down. But at the end of the day, it's like, what does he's been sitting on the fence? Yeah, 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 yeah. Dilate.
Yeah.
That's why he doesn't take his hat off, because he's more of a woman under the hat than with the hat
Oh
hat
wow.
off. So yeah, I don't know what to tell you. That's Tim Pool for you. If you're waiting for him to change his mind, don't. He's not gonna be Steven Crowder, who's.
I just never paid attention to the dude. I hear his name every once in a while. I thought he had something to do with Deadpool. I didn't know it was a.
He'd be the worst Deadpool in the world. That's how it'd be.
Yeah, no, I literally have no idea where he came from. I know he was a podcaster or something like that, but I
He's
don't.
he's political in a sense, but I think he kind of shorthands himself when he goes under the YouTube stuff. He doesn't. I just feel he can't have a real conversation because he has to make up words and he has to say things and all this other stuff. Because I think once you're monetized, they do watch you more closely for your words because you have to be safe for ads, whatever. But
Yeah, you start talking like a baby and you start saying things like unalive. Yeah, he unalived himself today.
Occupy Wall Street. I don't.
Occupy Wall. That's where he got famous. Was Occupy Wall Street?
Oh, Occupy Wall Street. Okay, that was a long time ago too, and they really didn't change much, to be honest. They really did not change much.
Was he responsible for starting it? I don't know.
I don't know. If you're hey, Lord of the Rings, if you're on mobile, sometimes that happens, so don't worry about it.
Yeah.
If you're on mobile, that happens sometimes.
I've seen it happen on mobile too.
But yeah, my thing is I don't hold my breath for content creators who are on YouTube and they get demonetized or banned or whatever. They have to crawl to YouTube support on Twitter X, and they have to cry and whine. No, you're not. I know you're not. I know what it's about.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry about it. But it's always this thing where you see him go on Twitter. Well, you're not on Twitter X, but there's a thing where you see him go on Twitter X, and they're crying like, "Hey, what was I demonetized? What was it? This is free use or whatever." And it's just like, why are you not multi-platforming yourself?
It's hilarious that they have to go to a separate platform to get help.
Yeah,
that just makes me laugh.
Yeah, makes me laugh too. It's like, but at this point, you're if it's about the money thing, your balls are in a vice grip now. YouTube has your balls in a vice grip, and all you got to do is you got to beg him just to let him go, because otherwise, those, and it's when you build your foundation on making money just on YouTube solely, and that's where the big chunk of it comes. I'm sorry, you've kind of earned it. You've kind of earned being demonetized because you've seen other content creators and the issues they've gone through, and you decided to keep going on that path. And if you aren't multi-platforming yourself, or you aren't diversifying where you're getting your money, you're not getting different revenues of money.
Yeah, if you put all your eggs in one basket, it's usually asking for trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, that's stock advice right there. I mean, you don't buy one stock and just go, I'm going to put all my money here and let's see what happens.
I've bought different ones. I've been buying ones though that give you dividends back.
Yeah, I've been on the dividend train for a long time. It's definitely a more fun way to go than trying to figure out who's going to win out a little bit ahead of everyone else.
Yeah, I've done like what was it? Was it EFTs? I think it is. Or
ETFs, yeah.
Yeah, ETFs. Yeah, I've done ETFs. Some ETFs have dividends. Apple has dividends. Amazon I believe has dividends. So I've been trying to go more for that. But you have to have more stock in order to get more back. But that's usually on a quarter basis. So even I get pennies at this point, but it's like, oh, that's pretty neat. I get pennies.
It's cool to see a couple dollars come in. I get a little bit here and there, and it's like, oh, I can pay for a sandwich this week because I got a couple of my ETFs cashed in. It's kind of cool. It's fun. It makes it fun. It doesn't. I don't stress over the ups and downs. I just wait for the dividends to roll in, and I pay attention to that. And I just sometimes I'll buy more dividends with the dividends, and then or more ETFs with the dividends, and then it just snowballs.
Yeah, I find it funny because in order to, I think it's like before you can get like a 1099 or whatever, you have to have it like be over $600. So if it's under $600, it's like Okay.
Yeah. I'm actually I have one account. It's on my Cash App, and the whole goal of it is so that I can just like pay for gas and groceries. So I'm just like growing it.
Yeah,
And so right now it's probably making me like $10 a month. But it's a
that's
bunch
better.
of different ETFs, and it just trickles right into the account, and I can just immediately buy stuff with it. And so it's really cool to just have kind of this recharging card.
Hmm.
But yeah, my goal eventually is to have it up to like maybe, like spending money, walk around money, right? Like $200 a month would be great, you know?
You have to be careful because once you hit that mark, you have to pay the tax and stuff, right? You have to get the.
Well, yeah, it rolls into your yearly taxes, and then there's, I guess they're trying to there's some bills out there where they're trying to up the capital gains tax to like 45% or something. So who knows what's going to happen in the near future?
Oh yeah, if that happens, you can say goodbye to pretty much anyone divulging in a stock. So, and
Yeah.
that could ultimately affect Rumble too. Hey
Hmm.
Steve. Hey Steve,
Up,
how are you?
Steve.
Steve is also from the UK, or he is from the UK. Um, but yeah, I'm no stock person, whatever. I'm not a professional. I just chose ones that were well known names.
Hmm.
I even put money in crypto, even though crypto is
Yeah.
its own thing, right? But it's sort of just like you're putting money anywhere. You just kind of like
Under
you
the
know
mattress, behind the couch, and just stick it everywhere because you don't know which part's going to get burned down, you know?
yeah, like I'm putting money like part of when my check comes in because I get paid weekly. I put
Hmm.
some of it into, of course, paying for rent, uh, car insurance, and then my phone, and then I do. Hey, no worries, no worries. Don't stay up too late because it's probably like 1 to 2 a.m. where he's at. Uh,
Yeah, that's late.
but I also put money away for a new vehicle if it ever happens, or if stuff happens that I need to buy to pay. What is it? I have to pay taxes on the tips I get at work. Yeah. Well,
Mm,
that
yeah.
if you're like a waitress or whatever, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, that's not fun.
Yep. Um, but
Especially
yeah,
when there's other people getting tips and not paying their taxes. It feels double unfun.
yeah,
So-
yeah. I used to do pizza delivery, so I know about tips and stuff. So I do tip a little more, but even I can't do very much. Like with the pay it forward, right? I do try to put money aside for that so that at least I can donate
Mm.
to a bunch of content creators. Like go if it's just me, right, and I don't have a guest afterwards. I do pest control. I'm not even a server. Well,
Hmm.
look, look, I know a few other pest controllers too. So you're among the crowd right there. Um, but yeah, I put some money aside because I probably do like an hour, but if I have a guest on, I try to go a little longer, try to match up the time they're coming on.
Hmm.
Um, tags, and ISIS. Yep, yep, they are. But you know what? If Americans want that to change, they're gonna have to make, they're gonna have to do the action of change. Not gonna, but voting is whatever. But you're really gonna have to get up on that Capitol Hill, and you're gonna have to do your protesting. Otherwise, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna matter.
Yeah.
Words are words until action goes behind it. And for now, most Americans are just like words. It's
Well,
just
there was, I mean, the J6 thing kind of was a kind of a slap in the face to anyone who was trying to affect change that way. So I think it kind of scared a lot of people, you know?
yeah, it did, but that was a small amount of people, and the only way you can overrun that is by like
Volume.
volume. I'd say
Yep.
75% of the country, or at least over 50%, has to just go to the Capitol and protest
Yeah.
peacefully.
Well, I live in an area where we've gotten a lot of transplants from the West Coast, so
Mhm.
California, Oregon, and Seattle or Washington,
Yeah.
and a lot of these people have come here because they saw what happened. They saw
Mhm.
what the policies are doing to their cities, and I'm talking to these people every day. I talk to dozens, if not hundreds, of people every week,
Yeah.
and regular, real people that are new people that are coming in here, and a lot of them who you would. I mean, there's some pink hair, purple hair people,
Yeah.
and they're like, you know what, that Joe Biden, no, not voting for that guy. Or I get guys in there that you just think, okay, this person would clearly vote a certain way, and then they start telling you about their politics, and you're like, wait, so the stereotypes are not lining up anymore. So I see that there is some movement in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know if it's too late.
If it'll work or what?
Well, okay, so I mean, it depends on what you believe about the last few elections, but there seems to be a large amount of evidence to show that there was foul play, let's say, in the election process, and so what's
Yeah,
that?
I said no. There always is though.
There always is,
Mm.
but I think that it was so overwhelmingly egregious in the last two sessions
Mm-hmm.
that I would not be, especially with the Dominion system
Mm-hmm.
and how that whole thing operates and how there are loopholes. And in Arizona, there was a specific case where a group of people managing in Maricopa County,
Mm-hmm.
they actually printed the ballots, purposely printed the ballots the wrong size so they would not scan.
Interesting.
And it was only in districts that were highly conservative.
Jeez.
I had personal friends that were like, "Yeah, this is ridiculous." One of those friends works in printing, and he goes, "Yeah, this was clearly on purpose."
I would think it's more than one thing though, because that again.
Oh, there was multiple things. Yeah, there was other stories. I could tell you. I could tell you stories for days on just in my area, and this is a purple state. Right? Like this is not like
Mm-hmm.
that was them trying really hard to get this state.
Yeah, Google can change to millions of votes, and it has when you have a company like Google who has no leash to any country and is its own thing across
Mm-hmm.
the globe. What's stopping it from, doing what it wants? Nothing's going to stop it. No
It's the most
government.
powerful propaganda machine on the planet. I mean, Facebook was also up there,
Mhm.
So there's a lot of evidence that Zuckerberg was involved in as well.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm concerned on that end, whether or not all these people are going to be able. Yeah, they're moving to another state because they know that there's something wrong with the way the other people voted, but some of them don't understand that. Some of them are still going to vote the same way, right? And what concerns me is it's the people that are waking up are not going to outnumber the people that are still asleep but just ran away from the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, if people want to change in their system, their taxes, whatever, overwhelming majority is going to have to be the one that I basically. Oh, what was it yesterday? It was Scott SVG. I was telling like that basically at a certain point, Americans, if they want to change their government, they're basically going to have to crash their own economy.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't keep building on this shaky foundation, right? You can't keep doing that. Sooner or later the foundation has to come down and you have to start over again.
I think they're finally starting to admit that we're in stagflation, just barely. And they're not even saying we're in stagflation, they're saying we're approaching stagflation when we've been in stagflation for about 2 years.
Yeah. Well, even more so when you have stuff like the whole TARP thing and all that stuff. But at a certain point you have to be honest with you and say, can we keep building on the foundation we have, or do we have to start over again? And sooner or later you're going to have to make the choice to start over again. There's no choice beyond that, because shaky ground is shaky ground, right?
Yeah.
Once foundation rots away, or a certain part of it rots away, and your house is leaning, I'm not talking like whatever, it's leaning, you're going to have to start over again, or take that chunk out and rebuild. And right now America's not in a position to wait any longer. I mean, it can't anymore, because no person's going to come in and save it. It's going to stall it. It's going to delay whatever's going to come next. But sooner or later, that day's going to come where the system's going to have to crash and you have to start over.
So let me ask you this.
Sure.
What do you think is causing this? Is it the lizard people? Is it George Soros? Like what do you think is going on?
All of it. It's everything. It's all of it. It's all at once. No, there is no one answer. There is no one answer to say this is the actual problem. This is what's causing it. Well, I mean, if you really want the answer to that, it's humans. Humans are causing our problems. Humans are causing the issues. humans do human things that cause all the issues to have. If you really want the one answer, but if you want the answer for America and what's going on, it's multiple answers. It's multiple of there are people who are given power. You could say that. You could say that, Happy Mars, but that's two answers. That's part of the whole thing. Crab people. That's true, Steve. Crab people. Crab people are the issue.
Fear the crab cat.
Yeah. Or South Park.
Yeah, South Park that's the South Park reference. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the it was
Man, Bear, Pig.
Oh, Man, Bear, Pig. That was Al Gore stuff right there.
Yeah.
No, it's a multitude of things. It's not Occam's razor, right? There's to build a house, there's more than one thing. Like, yes, everything rests on the foundation, but what is the foundation made of, right? Like, you have foundations made of stones and mortar or whatever. You have foundations made of concrete, maybe of just certain brick, whatever. There's more than one issue problem here, and a lot of it has to do with we've kept building on old foundation, right? Like, yes, we have the Constitution, whatever, but the Constitution itself is easily trampable. I'm sorry to tell you.
You heard it here first, folks. Daramouthe says we need to destroy the Constitution
No,
and rebuild. No, I'm just kidding.
No, it's you have to understand that a person with power, given power, whatever, or build power, they can look at it and say, nah. That's how easy it is, right?
Well, yeah, nations rise and fall on a whim, it seems.
Yeah, you had kings and queens just discard their own rules for the rules they wanted to make, right? The rules they made for everyone else, but not for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you've ever seen Calvin and Hobbes, right, where Calvin would make up the game Calvin Ball, where the rules would just be made up during the game. Like, you wouldn't have a set of rules. That's what every system around the country is. They have a base level, sure, right? You got to keep the masses from going to chaos, right? Civilization. But at the end of the day, there are people who make the rules and there are people who follow the rules. The people who make the rules don't have to follow them. Why? Yeah. Because they have the power not to. That's
what they do is they pull the ladder up behind them, right? Yeah. So like the tax thing I was talking about. Okay, they've done their investing. They're all really rich because of it. And they see that everyone else, especially after the whole GameStop fiasco, everyone really got into investing. And so many people, because of the advent of the new apps that allow you to trade very quickly, I think that's why they're starting to see, okay, let's start looking at capital gains, right? So I think that the popularity of investing has suddenly made it a point of attack, a vector of attack for them. Because now they're like, okay, well, if everyone else is going to start doing what we were doing, we're just going to pull the ladder up before they get anywhere. And that's possible.
Why not?
Because they have other avenues of making money, right? They got their backdoor deals with other presidents and, other countries, and they got their large companies. It was just that particular sector was something that was a particular way that they would store value and grow money. And now they're like, well, we can lose that because we have all these 7 other things we can do, and then we can take this money from all these people that have been investing, because people are propping up the market right now. The people, not just rich people, regular people are more invested in the market now than I think they've ever been because of the advent of the apps and the fee-less transactions. And so I could so clearly see a setup where they change the law where they just tax the heck out of it, and that would collapse the economy.
then that right there is the race to collapse the economy. Who's going to do it first? Is it going to be the people, or is it going to be people of power, right? If there wasn't a thing of power, people having power, whatever, then there wouldn't be a book called the 48 Rules of Power, whatever that book is called. I can't remember what the exactness of it is, or 48 Laws of Power, somewhere along the way. I think it's somewhere like that. But the point of the matter is right. Voting just in the U.S., right? As a simple example, voting in the U.S. is about giving one person, a group of people, giving one person of power of representation in order to change, fix, or whatever things, right? And you get up to, that's on a state level, it's a bit smaller, but when you get up to the federal level, it's much bigger because rules affect every of the 50 states, right?
Mhm.
So you have people giving up their small amount of power to this person who will take it and have a chunk of power, right? And there's all these people who will have chunks of power from around the states. And then those chunks of power will get together into groups and they will have a bigger chunk of power, right? You know,
Mhm.
of course, you have the rules set in by the Constitution, but those can be easily ignored if you do those things, right? Rules of acquisition.
Yeah.
48
And you
rules of acquisition or
and you
whatever.
could say that that's modeled after nature in a way, right? So survival of the fittest, and then accruing of resources, observed in nature all the time.
Yeah.
So at what point do you give up on saying this is evil or this is bad, and just say this is just another wave in the ocean? This is ebb and flow of life.
Hmm.
And do you just let go to that and live your life as much as you can until something bad happens, or do you worry about it? Is worrying about it productive? Probably not.
Hmm.
If you're going to do something about it, okay, great. But I see a lot of people thinking they're going to do something about it, and then they're doing something terrible, and it just causes more problems. So it's
Right.
like, what is the answer? Is it just letting go?
Or not,
Vote
or
with
not.
your dollar? Mm.
Yeah, or not doing anything at all, right? It's
Yeah.
they talk about it but don't do anything. But anyway, before we continue further, of course, this is the top of the hour. I know you only have your the one thing you promote yourself, but just you did flare it up, show it
All right.
off, do whatever. There's a lot of
Yeah.
people here.
I'm just a guy on the internet. I'm a guy playing a guy dressed as another guy on the internet. Um, yeah, I'm only on Rumble. Hans Diamond Ball is the main channel.
Mm,
Um, I do have a Hans Diamond Troll, which is where I go into other people's chats and troll them. It's lighthearted trolling. I'm trying to make people laugh, and I capture the effects of the interactions because I'm trying to show people how much fun it is on Rumble
mm,
and how much more interaction you'll get with the streamers.
mm,
Because you do get to have more. Like you go on one of these YouTube streams and there's 60,000 messages flying on the screen. You don't get heard, but you come to Rumble, check it out. There's streamers down here who they'll appreciate your jokes. If you're telling jokes to a stream of 1,000 messages, they're not going to see it.
mm,
And so that's what I like to highlight on my trolling channel. And sometimes I'll do donations for comedic effect.
mm.
So you actually I don't know if I posted the one where I had Geek put his shirt back on your
Oh
channel,
no, yeah, I saw that
but I
one.
will be I think I will be posting that if I haven't already. I got a laundry list of,
It's
of edits I got to do.
Well, it's gonna be in the stream of wherever that happened. I think it was when he was on himself instead of the pay it forward stream. But I did
Yeah,
I did pull that up. That was for like $1. You said like I'll pay to put him back on. I was like, yeah,
because he was talking about how people would pay to see this, and I'm like, I'm going to pay you to not see it.
yeah. I'm like, that's great.
You know
That,
what's funny though? Here's the thing about that. I was watching another stream where Geek was already shirtless, and
yeah,
someone else paid him $20 to put his shirt back on. So
yeah,
it's become kind of a meme now.
yeah. And you can make money off it. So there you go.
Yeah, he's getting revenue and people are having fun, and it's another one of those meta interactions that it's forming over here.
Yeah, you won't see me do it though. I'm not that kind of
Yeah,
person.
no,
Um,
no, I think your tic-tac-toe thing might work out better.
connect for connect
Yeah,
for
or yeah,
destruction.
Connect Four, Hangman, whatever you want. You can figure it out.
Connect for the death game.
Yeah.
This or Connect Four. If you don't play it well, you're gonna die.
Or what's that one game where it's two snakes, or is it Snake? Remember the game where there was like you had to eat the apples and you had to run out
It
of
was
room or something like
Snake.
that?
No,
Snake? I think it was. I think.
no, because it was Snake. You'd eat like these little bits that go around, and your snake would get bigger and bigger and bigger, and you would just keep going until you couldn't go anymore.
Yeah,
I think
something like
that's
that.
yeah,
There was another one called Tron that was like that, but it was 2 players.
yeah.
Yeah.
Get Geek is the man of the people. Well, he certainly is. People pay him for it. No, he's all right, dude. But anyway, so I'm gonna do my sort of thing. So anyway, you of course know that I stream to both YouTube and Rumble. Of course, I'm a multi-platformer as just a safety net of things. But I stream to both. I have uh, Rumble, YouTube at Daramouthe, and of course I have a Discord at Daramouthe, but it's mostly DMs. I do that for burping purposes. But anyway, I also have a fan account at Twitter X at Daramouthe. I also have an email which you'll see across the down line, and you can go to that as well. Listen, guys, if you want the same opportunity as Hanz here, Hanz, who was a recipient of a pay it forward stream I did, the door is open, man. Either go to either of my ends, YouTube or Rumble on the stream and comment, or just go to the 3 places I mentioned and DM me there or email, whatever. The door is open for you to have that opportunity to come on. Look, May is pretty much full, so June is going to have to be the one where new people are going to have to come on. But again, April was full. Now May is full. I'm looking forward to having the rest of the year of months full. And why? Because there's so many people to talk to. There's so many people to have conversations with. And why not? Well, I look at other content creators. I don't see that very much, or they're in a niche state, or they're talking about certain things like movies or TV shows or whatever, and they're stuck in an area. I can go all over the place, and you just saw that for like the past 2 hours with me and Hans. We went from talking about a bit about content creation, talk about
Lizard people.
lizard people and all this other stuff, and finding and being conscious of the world and all that. We went all over the place, and you can have that same opportunity as afforded to you too. So why wait? So either leave a comment on YouTube and Rumble in the stream, or go to any of the 3 places like Twitter X, Discord DM, or the email and leave something there. Once you do, we can get started and go from there. But yeah, it's a good time. And of course, I'm going to do the thing that you saw a lot of creators do that you probably don't like, but I do it anyway. So, if you wouldn't mind either leaving a like, a comment, or a follow. I would say subscribe, but subscribe means the monthly thing over here on Rumble, so I don't want to confuse you guys. But you leave a like, follow, or comment, or do one, or do all 3. Again, the engagement stuff, like it says, the engagement helps support Darachat, because more people can see me and more people come on. And guess what? You get to be a recipient of that, whether you get to be on yourself or you get to see someone like Hanz, and then all of a sudden you're going to Hanz stream and you're talking to him and you get to talk back or whatever. By helping me, I'm helping you. I make the connections that you get to see and you get to be a benefit of without doing all the work, right? Like, I'm doing the work, you just like, hey, and all you're doing is giving a like or a comment or follow, and you're just like, hey, I did this thing and I get to see this weird guy talk about yoga and stuff. So there you go. So either do one of the 3 or do all of the 3. It doesn't matter. You're helping out. I get to be seen more. You get to see more people and get to be a part of it. And look at that. We're all helping each other out. We're all kumbayaing at this point. So don't think the little small stuff doesn't help, because it does. Look, there's that story of what the raven, right? The raven would drop stones down the well, and the more stones he dropped down the well, the higher the water would rise because he's thirsty. You guys are the stones helping raise the water for the one person that will see the stream, that may be on the stream or maybe a part of the stream, and you get connected to that person through that notion. There you go. That's how I do it. That's how I explain it anyway.
That was deep.
Hey, you know what? I got to do something to at least have people feel the need of wanting to help, be a part of it, right? Be part of that progress, be part of that. Like you were saying with the Connect 4 stuff, right? Having that the monetary part, but this is free. This is simple. This is easy. If you do it, you get to see more people on. Again, this month is pretty much full. I'm still waiting on 1 or 2 people. Hopefully they'll be able to answer back. I'm also waiting on someone, if they'll come this Friday for a PIF stream. Not the guest, but someone who will be with me during the PIF stream. Where the sun's dragging about well, you may think that, but you're also bringing the water up so that someone else can have the drink of water to either come on or be a part of. So I know, Happy Mars, okay? I know, all right? I know.
Be nice to Daramouthe. He doesn't get jokes. He's an AI, just so you know. I figured it out. I did my Blade Runner thing on him earlier, and I figured out he's AI.
Monster. I failed the Turing test. That's what happened.
Yeah.
But no, I get it. Don't worry. But yeah, it's you help me, I help you. We all get to be part of this. We all get to be part of the benefit of helping each other out. There you go. Yeah. Whether it be the likes, follows, comments, or the monetary, it doesn't matter. We're all part of it. So we all get to be a part of it. Sorry, we all get to be a part of it. But I can't. I know I can't fully do it alone because again, my connection with one person like Hans, there are people behind him that are connected to him that could have the same opportunity coming on. It's the web, it's the links, it's all that stuff, you know. But yeah, so are you good to go?
I was gonna ask you, do you have? I'm wondering again. I'm not trying to suggest things for your channel, but just an idea came to me.
Yeah, just go for it.
Maybe have a bit of your like on your show. Have the person that's on suggest another person for you.
I've had that. I've already had
that. Oh, you
that.
did?
Yeah, like, when Squall Rush was on, in the background, obviously, where you're not saying that Squall Rush.
Yeah,
recommended me. Yeah.
Say that fast 5 times.
SR, I'll say to this. SR connected me to Sand King, right?
Okay.
And Sand King, of course, I knew what is the name? Lord of the Re from another chat, from a content creator I follow. But he is also connected to Sand King. So there's 2 points of connection for Lord of the Re to come on. And I hopefully, sometime next month I can bring him on. But there's that connection as well. So I have had people. So yeah,
so you're just a few more points away from Kevin Bacon then.
Yeah, maybe one day I could have a celebrity on, but I won't treat him like a celebrity. I'll just treat him like a regular person, or whether it be a YouTube creator or another creator from another platform. It doesn't matter.
That would be great. It would be great if you got a celebrity on. You, the first thing you just says is, "What up, prick?" And just
you're a bit of a junkie, yeah? No, I've had on the Rumble, and I've had like Silver Fox Gamer is probably one of the most well known ones.
Oh, I got to go watch that one. I want to watch your last 2 because they both sound interesting.
Yeah, Scottish Viking Gaming was also in the same position. He was also a recipient of the pay for stream, like Heck in the Y, which is a father-daughter duo streamer. But yeah, Silver Gamer. I didn't think I'd ever get Silver Fox on, but after a period of time, I got him on, and he's well known to the Rumble side. I really wish I could reach out to other communities as well, but I'm just kind of stuck with the connection because I connection through Twitter X, connection through here, connection YouTube. There's some my content creators I follow I'd like to have on, but I've tried connecting out, and I've been on one at least show, but never had him on mine because there's always his stuff. It's scheduled stuff, but yeah, it's still just the difficulty of fishing for people on it. And that's why I'm building my credibility, right? Like even if I had someone big on, I'd still have someone lesser than him or non-creator at all on. There's no discrepancy between. It's just, oh, this guy's more well-known. This guy isn't. Guess what? They both can be on. Not at the same time. Obviously, I like the one-on-one more, but they can be on Darachat. And so that's what's going to. I'm trying to find, there we go.
Yeah, Silver Fox is one of my favorite people to troll. Only because it's a little bit harder to get him to laugh because sometimes he's like really into a game and he's super serious. So whenever I can get him to laugh, it's like more rewarding. So I do like trolling his chat because it's a challenge. And I have a couple videos where I actually trolled him. I still got to edit. I'm a little bit behind on my trolling account, so I'll have to get that up to date. But yeah. It's always more rewarding to get someone to laugh who you normally can't. Like you try really hard and they just like they take everything too seriously. And it's like when you can finally crack the person a little bit and just like, that's a human being now. Finally, we got it. I like that. I like that moment.
Yeah, and it helps if you get them to laugh with you laughing. You can bring them to a relaxing state because now it's like, oh, we're both enjoying ourselves or whatever. So there's that relaxing point. But yeah. I try to have fun with it too, try to laugh a little bit with stuff going on. It doesn't always work, but the point of the matter is you kind of find that thing you can latch on to, and people, it's like a favorite item, a favorite thing, whatever. You just keep digging until you find something, and you can explore that and just kind of go around it or whatever. It's not an easy process, but at the end of the day, it's sort of like, you get better at making the conversation. You get better, like what to look for or how to respond, and you just go from there. And it helps bring out the relaxing factor of them being on, right? Like there's some people come on who are worried or anxious, and like after a while they're like, oh yeah, this is pretty neat, this is pretty interesting.
And you might forget it while you're doing it, but you're building a skill. So this interviewing is a skill, and as you do it longer and longer, you're going to get better at it. Whether you think you've peaked or not, you will get better at it, and you will probably not notice it until you look back at a year from now.
Mm-hmm.
You will see that you will cultivate skills that you didn't know you were trying to cultivate. You're gonna see that you're gonna, if you continue it and if you keep with it and you love it, you will cultivate skills you didn't know existed or that you were even trying to attain.
Well, the thing of it is, I want to, because compared to my full-time job, which helps pay for my bills and stuff, I'd rather do this. I'd rather, just because there's so many people. Again, Rumble's connected to millions of people, right? And YouTube is connected to billions. Just imagine being connected to all those different minds with different perspectives. Yeah, some may be hateful or whatever, but if they're able just to come on, we can have disagreements like earlier, but we can have a conversation. We can talk to each other as if we're real human beings. I can't read your mind. So if there's something that I step on that you don't want me stepping on and you say pass, okay, we can go for that. But I can't read your mind. You can't just look at me with a stern look and say, don't do that. You have to say something, but we can have a conversation. And I know some people have said interview, but I don't see it that way, because I can ask you a question, but then you can also ask me a question too. So is it at that point still an interview? It's just having a conversation at that point. And I'd rather see it that way than seeing like, oh, trumped up paper and just like, oh, da 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 da. That's why I said I try to, make the connection between that Who's Line and Craig Ferguson, because Craig Ferguson would just tear up those questions and just go have a conversation. And they asked him questions too. Yeah. And so it's sort of like, I'd rather have that than, oh, so and so on, we're going to ask him these questions. Like, because again, that's where that whole people asking topics thing, right? They ask like, well, what are the topics going to be? What is going to be about? And I'm like, the conversation is the topic. Like, and so for some people that doesn't make sense. They're kind of like, you see all these content creators, they have like a 24/7 news thing, or they pick something out and they create a topic out of it or whatever. I'm just like, until you're in it and understand of where a conversation can go, you'll always be afraid of it. You'll always be anxious about it, because you'll be like, well, I don't know what to say. I don't know how to say it or whatever. It's like, don't worry about that. The point of the matter is you're on and willing to have a conversation. Shite in this world is going to matter less when you are dead. It's not actually not going to matter at all. But the point of the matter is that if you're willing, some point in your life, to sit down across a person who you think is some disastrous piece of crap or whatever, but you
like Daramouthe.
but you find out that they just have a different way of thinking. They were brought up differently. Their environment was different, and you get to have this conversation where instead of going to a screeching match, you just settle on disagreements, right? Mm-hmm. Instead of being this hateful, monstrous person, you just, so we disagree on this thing. Oh, okay. What else do we? Mm-hmm. What is there something we agree on? Is it something to disagree on? What are perspectives? That's what this is. The free-flowing the one-on-one free-flowing conversation that can go just about anywhere. And yes, I stream to YouTube and Rumble, but guess what? I'm willing to give you at least 98% of the field, right? Of the field. Mm-hmm. Just give me the 2%. That's all I ask. That's all I ask.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter if it's to me at least, it doesn't matter if it's an interview or a conversation. It's the skill sets are going to be there. Whatever you want to label it as. Mm-hmm. And I think one of those is running a conversation in such a way that does not devolve into a hot mess.
Yeah.
If you can cultivate that skill alone, I think you could skyrocket to the top of the internet, because people are craving that. That's why Joe Rogan's so high up, right? Yeah. How often do you see someone just exploding on Joe Rogan?
Yeah,
never. That's really almost never, at least.
Well, one thing he also was on TV shows. He also built up.
He had to build up skills. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he built up wealth too, right? Because he can make a studio. I can't have my own place. Can't build a studio. No. I have this, but majority of the time,
this is good enough. I think this is perfect.
It is for me. It's great because I'm a Sunny's can be, but with Joe Rogan, it feels like it's more celebrity stuff and all that. And I'm talking to people who aren't content creators. Some
Mhm.
of those people are creating, being doctors, whatever. I'm not talking to those. I mean, maybe I can talk to those people, but I'm not talking to them right now. I'm talking to people who are on the ground floor, mid level, maybe high on the ground, or perceived to be on high ground. But I would like to be the whole field, and he talks to a certain section of it. I don't know if he's ever had people on that aren't creators. Maybe he's had on like
He's had a few people that were either internet famous for one simple thing,
mm,
or they were in an incident that was on the news. He's had a couple of people like that,
yeah,
but usually it's for a reason. Yeah, it's
yeah,
not. And he's had some friends on that maybe didn't have fame until they got on there. I
yeah.
think Sean Baker was relatively obscure until he went on there. So
Interesting.
a lot of people that I follow who are in the health sphere
Yeah.
that ended up on Joe Rogan's podcast, they were nobodies before he went on. They went on there. So
Yeah. But my thing is just trying to keep the field as open as possible because you can have a conversation with just
yeah,
about anyone. People who don't want to have a conversation are people like who I don't want to do it. So people who are negative troll or arguers.
I want to talk to trolls. Actually, I was on Cool Frog's show on Saturday,
Nice.
and I think it was Friday. And he kind of coerced me into going on there, and I was like a little hesitant because I've never been on a group conversation ever online.
Yeah.
And a guy started heckling us from the chat, and I was like, "Hey, buddy, let's talk face to face, man to man. I wanna feel your energy. I want to know if this is you joking,
Mhm.
right? Are you just having a larf? That's cool, right?"
Mhm.
But and he was like, he was trying to get him on, but I guess he was having technical difficulties. But maybe we'll have a conversation later, you know. And I think that that's something that you don't get at Joe Rogan. You're not going to get that. Like if you bring a troll on, like you get someone who's actually legitimately trolling the chat, get their perspective. Why are they doing? What are their motivations? I would be interested in knowing.
Yeah, and that's why I think, like again with earlier with Tim Pool, you're not gonna have him be honest, have an honest conversation because he can't. He limits himself to the rules of YouTube, and so like I mean, yes, I guess I do kind of, but I do give a chunk of the field. I do try to give like as much of the field as I possibly can, so you can't. And I know we could just do Rumble or whatever, and then speak as freely as possible. But I'm not about sticking all eggs in one basket. I'm not just about sticking eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
So even with going to the platforms, I'm like, I will give you as much as the field as I possibly can, as long as you just simple rules, right? Because you being a guest in someone's stream, there is a form of decorum, right?
Mm-hmm.
Simple rules, respectful, have a mic, don't say the big gamer words, and we're good. Three
Yeah.
simple rules that should be easy for anyone to follow. I know some people probably trollish and like push the boundaries, but I'm like, if you just follow those three things, you have 98% of the field. You have 98%. You can say F the whole way through. I
And
don't.
most people, I think, are. I think once they get on camera and they get in front of another human being, and the energy changes,
Mm,
the energy of the room changes the way they operate. Like you see me in the chat, I'm a total nightmare sometimes. Like I fool around as hard as possible, make the stupidest jokes. I'm always experimenting with jokes. A
mm,
lot of them fall flat because of misunderstandings. But when
mm,
I'm here, I'm not doing that. It's a different vibe. So I think when you get someone, it's nice that you can pull people from the text. Like that's what Cool Frog was doing on his stream, was he actually was trying to pull people and get them out of their shell a little bit.
mm,
And I'm one of them because I don't normally do these interview streams.
mm,
So you and him are the ones that have convinced me. You're like the first two that I've actually gone on.
mm,
And I only went on his because he kind of was like, here's my link, go here, do it now. Like he was like, just do it. Like just, he was very, very stern about it. So he kind of was just, he's really good at like just getting people on that normally wouldn't do it.
mm.
And I think that's an important aspect of the show that you're doing here is getting regular people to be a part of the conversation, get them involved, and show them that the water's fine.
Yeah. There are no gotcha moments. There are no sharks here. I mean,
Yeah.
if you kind of flub on yourself, that's kind of you wanting to get something out, whatever. It's not me trying to get something out of you. And well, I mean, getting something out of you in the sense of continuing the conversation, right? Just finding that nugget of gold or whatever. But spilling something that you thought you would never spill, that's what Craig Ferguson was good at, right? He was able to get someone to spill something you never thought they would talk about, mostly sexual stuff, but that's because women or whatever. But it doesn't have to be that. It could be about a personal matter or whatever. It just, if you're in a comfortable way of a conversation and these things about, it's not a bad thing. It's more of like something that you once thought was not possible is now possible, and you want to come back. There are people who want to come back. I always invite everyone who's been on to come back, even if they never do, because the opportunity is always going to be there. Now, there's some people who do. There's like one or two people dislike me now, but the point of the matter is, I've even tried to invite them on. It's like, it doesn't matter if you dislike me. Let's have a conversation about whatever.
Yeah, that's a good place to be, because that is also a skill, like to not take things personally when people don't like you. That's a skill that not everyone has.
But it still hits in a way. But then I have to remember myself. It's like, do I want to be like the people who get the emotional status, or do I remind myself, look, one day it's not going to matter. One day this anger, one day this hatred of someone else or whatever, one day this whatever it is not going to matter, because we're both going to be dead. Yeah. I'm sorry to tell you, that's the ultimate truth of humanity, is we're going to be dead one day, and the time is a nigh thing. Like, I don't say it to be like this down or whatever, but it's like, you have to give yourself a stern reminder that all this hate, all this anger, all this extra stuff that either comes from the internet or whatever, it's not going to truly matter in the end, because you're not going to feel it anymore.
Maybe that's what I've been trying to understand about what's going on in Rumble, because I was making this point, I think it was on Cool Frog's stream, that I've noticed that a lot of the streamers that have just recently started in the last several months or last year or two, they're all middle-aged, right? They're like, they've had life experiences, and maybe they had a few brushes with death, right? They've had family members die. I've had, my entire family almost is completely gone, and I have one that has cancer. So,
jeez.
You know, like, I think that the closeness to death makes us appreciate each other more. And I think older people are going into streaming because they realize that why am I avoiding the thing I love? Like, a lot of these people gave up on gaming, or they always wanted to stream, but like me, I always wanted to do this, not necessarily for money, but just to do it. And we're getting into it now because I think we finally realize what you're saying is we're all going to die.
Yeah.
And, you know, some sooner than others, but we're all at that point now. And I think that might be the singularity that's pushing this kind of Gen X, you know, Gen X and late millennial movement of people suddenly starting to stream in their 40s, you know? And so that's an interesting thing that you said.
It's more to remind yourself, right? Whether it be time with family or with others or what have you, it's the time to remind yourself of not contention, but contentment, right? Like, we search to improve ourselves, to do all this stuff time and time again, but at the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, we have to have a somewhat reminder, because most people just go throughout the day like, I gotta go to work tomorrow, I gotta do this tomorrow, whatever, and just realize, like, because that's how some jobs hold, you know, that's how majority of jobs and governments, whatever, hold power of you, right? Like, they presume on the basis you'll be there tomorrow. And when you can push back and say, look, I don't know if I will. Now, it doesn't mean that it will change very much. Like, you can still go on the way. But it's also in the fact of, like, you know, when you can ask yourself, like, does it do me well to be angry? In certain circumstances, yes, right? Like, you do need anger to sort of be a push point for, like, if something comes up or whatever the contextual context is. However, is it good to be angry a majority of the time? No. Why? Because stuff's going to happen that's going to make you angry, right? It's, you know, things that are out of your control. There's a lot of things you can't control, and I'm sorry to tell you, buddy. If an asteroid comes and they can't destroy it before then, well, there you go.
Well, there's no shortage of things that can quote unquote make you angry, right? Like, you could always find something to make you angry. If you want to go do that, you can go watch the news.
Social media.
Social media, you can watch a prank channel and get angry about that, or you can whatever. At a certain point, you have to take responsibility and decide, is it making me angry, or am I just choosing to be angry?
Yeah.
Because you can find anger-inducing things everywhere, especially now. So at a certain point, if you look at that objectively, the power of whether or not you get angry is up to you. I think it really is a skill, and it's something that I've been trying to cultivate for quite a long time. Which is why it's funny now, because I'm getting to a point where when someone's using the bundle of sticks word to reference me in a chat, I kind of want to give that person a hug.
Yeah.
Is it weird? Like, I don't know. It's just one of those things where, like, I've been practicing this thought process for so long that I now understand that person is hurting, or they're just simply trying to have fun and they're being misunderstood, which I understand, because I was young once, and I always say this on my stream, but I was like, I was retarded once, like when you're 18, 19, 20 years old, you say a lot of stupid things on the internet. So I empathize with that.
Yeah. And again, to the process of if you're willing to learn. I mean, I'm not saying I'm perfect. Don't get me wrong. I am no perfect over here. I can't even tell you how many times I probably fall on my face more than learn from a lesson. But if you're willing, like again, like with just doing this, if you're willing to have a conversation, if you're willing to at least accept some form part is out of your hands, then you open the door to a form of change that can be more positive than negative. Now, obviously, there are negative forms of change, right? There's whatever, but at the end of the day, what you want to happen for your life, what you want to succeed for, right? Like, not everyone can get everything what they first start out for, right? Like, you start at a point and you reach for it, like you do with yourself, right? Like you did coding, and after a certain point, you're just like whatever, and then you went to something else. So there's something you're trying to search for. You're trying to go in the desert, and you're trying to find the oasis that fits you. You go to one oasis, you go for a while, no, it doesn't work. You go to something else. You keep trying to find the right place. Now, of course, that's where contentment comes in, right? At a certain point, you have to be content with, you have to be content with a place of or spot of or whatever, but there has to be a form of acceptance of yourself in order to find it, right? Because so when people hear of contentment, they're like, oh, that's lame. I thought you were always about improving, always growing. Yes, but you also have to have a place of rest, a place that you can, a place of an oasis.
You can be content and improve at the same time.
Yeah. But there's always a place you need to come back to rest, to reflect, rest and reflect, right?
Contentment is kind of the opposite of anxiety to me.
Yeah. Right.
And I think improvement is the understanding and awareness that while things are great and you're content with it, they could be better.
Yeah.
Right? Like maybe you're content with your beat up Kia and you're driving around town in it and all that stuff, but the brakes are getting a little worn, and maybe it's a little it's safe, but you're content with it. You're not upset about it. You're not like, damn, I need a better car. But you go, it might be good. We got a baby along the way. Maybe we should work towards getting a better vehicle or something, so you don't have to have I think it's a living, thinking state. So being content is a state of mind. It's a state of calmness in a storm of ridiculousness that is our world.
Yeah.
And you can be calm and still make steps to improve. Like I'm super content with my life, super content, but I still had to buy a new air conditioner, right? Yeah. Like my old air conditioner was falling apart. Like it doesn't mean things in your life don't have to move forward in order for you to continue living, but you got to, I'm learning new skills. I'm learning how to shoot. I'm learning how to edit videos. It's not, you're not doing it under the locomotion of anxiety. That's the difference. You're doing it because you love it, and you actually truly love it, and not because you're trying to get to an end goal. And maybe that's the difference with my programming or with brewing, is I was doing it out of an anxiety and I didn't realize it at the time. and maybe I really didn't love it, and that happens to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
yeah,
And yeah, and again, it's part of being human. But you know what? If you're willing to take the steps to learn, if you're willing to uh, find a level of contentment, if you're willing to open yourself to the possibility of, the stuff that of someone making you angry or not understanding things or biases or whatever, if you're willing to take a step back and reflect and learn, I think you have a better shot than most people. Where you see the stuff like the colleges, and they're just a bunch of people who are more or less acting on emotion rather than just taking a step back and thinking for a second.
mm,
And they, of course, the other people affected too, but there's a whole lot more of discussion and forum and whatever that you can go deep in for miles and miles. But unfortunately, however, I have to keep going to bed soon. So,
mm,
um, Hans, it is, no matter what, it has been a pleasure of you being on here, and you are always welcome back, obviously.
thank you.
Um, and of course, of course, I know it's not like the hourly thing, but of course, promote yourself again. I'll do mine, and then we'll play an outro song. And you're welcome to stay on for a little bit after or not. That's up to you. But
Hmm.
go ahead and promote yourself, good sir.
Yeah, I'm just Hans Diamondball on Rumble, and just play games. Occasionally, I wind up talking to people in the chat, and sometimes the conversations go places kind of like this, where they can get kind of deep. Sometimes it's just us shooting the crap, and we're just having fun, and we're just hanging out. If you want someone to hang out with, I'm there.
Mhm.
Um, I mostly play RoboCraft. I play some obscure Linux games because I don't have a Windows computer, so
Oh.
don't expect me to be playing Call of Duty or Helldivers or any of this other stuff that everyone else is playing. So if you want something a little bit different, that's what I'm doing.
There you go. Man said it as clear as himself. And his link will be down in the description below. And it's only one link. It's his Rumble. So because he has a Discord, but that's up to him to share that. But anyway, oh that's right. I gotta pull my stuff up. I gotta get professional. Anyway, on today's news. But yes, of course, you could find me on YouTube and Rumble, and of course Discord at Daramouthe. I stream to both YouTube and Rumble. I don't. The only set schedule. Someone asked me if I have a set schedule. Like the only set schedule I have is like the Friday, PIF stream, Pay It Forward stream, and then after that, it's like I work around others' schedule because in order to build my credit, it's part of building that credibility. I take whoever is willing to have a conversation, and, not be like negative troll or whatever, but to just have a conversation. And so I work around other schedules for that, but Friday is the one that has the set date of like 7 p.m. Eastern, Pay It Forward stream, and it's a really fun time. I meet a lot of people through it. Hanz, Heck in the Y, who else? I'm trying to think of. I met a lot of different people. I don't know if I had them all on, but still, it's a good way of meeting new people. It helps bring them on and it gives me content, but it's more like just the content of the conversation rather than just like, what can you do for me now? Sort of thing. So, anyway, if you want to have the same opportunity and you do, go to the three places Twitter X, Discord, or my email. If you can't do that or don't want to do that, just leave a comment in either side, YouTube or Rumble, and we can get started. It's that simple, that easy. May not be. I may not be able to do anything because again, days are taken up. I'm still waiting on a few people. So, but come June, there'll be a lot of days open, and I tell you what, I mix it up with new and old. And if you want to come on, there's your shot. Don't be worried about it. Don't be anxious. Don't be worried about anything other than just saying a few things, and we'll dig for the gold, baby. We'll go for the gold, the platinum, and everything in between. Not diamonds, though. Those are a dime a dozen at this point. But anyway,
Hey,
you can make diamonds in a lab at this point. But yeah, either leave a comment in either YouTube or Rumble, or go to those three places and leave something there, and we can get started. It's that easy. But of course, before we go, I have to do the one thing that I know you hear a lot of content creators do. It's so annoying, it makes your ears bleed, but I'm going to put it this way. So, if you wouldn't mind, either leave a like, comment, comments work too, or a follow. All of those three, one of those three, it doesn't matter. The reason I asked for it is because, like it says right there, the engagement helps. The more people see me, the more people I can have on. And you get to be connected to those people. You get to be in chat. You can talk to those people, like with Hanz and stuff, like earlier with Alpha and all those. And Alpha does computer work too. He's a tutor at a uni, so he's doing stuff. He has another channel called Tasty Snacks who does, like, I think he's doing something about bashing or bash script, whatever it is. So he's doing that. But yeah, by you helping me, I help you in meeting new people, getting connected with them, and you get to chat with them. You get a benefit. I have to do the work. So all you're doing is like click like, there you go. I'm doing the majority of the work. You're gaining the benefit. So see it as a big plus for you and sort of like a 50-50 for me. So, but anyway, either one of the three or all of the three, it doesn't matter which one you choose. All right. But you helping me out helps you out, which gets you connected to all assortment of people that you thought you may never meet, that you would maybe never know. So there you go. All right, guys. Tomorrow's Thursday. Tomorrow's Thursday. I have on Dubby at 7 p.m. Of course, like today. Dubby is another person. I can't remember where I met him from, but Dubby is just through another connection. Like with Squall SR to Sand King, just like Tomby to Smoo. Connection from one person next. I can't remember the person, but there you go. So he'll be on at 7 p.m. Eastern. So I hope you'll be able to join me. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a wonderful night. Again, thank you very much for being on your Hans. And
I appreciate it.
I'll probably see you sometime on Friday. So don't worry about that. But again, guys, gonna play out with another hold on, I get it. So as you always know, I play at the end with a Pogo song. Now Pogo is a artist who's posted this stuff on YouTube, so if you want to look his stuff up, it's on there. He's also, you can buy some of his songs on iTunes as well, but he posts his stuff on YouTube, so you don't have to worry about buying. But anyway, this song is called One Day With You by Pogo. I hope you guys have a wonderful night. I will see you tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern. Bye guys.